Good evening, friends, and happy Saturday. Mariama popping in for tea time with my bestie, Queen. And
Hi.
Queen has been my friend now for over 10 years, and we have some of the best conversations that I really feel have been therapeutic for my soul over the years. And we always one question we would always ask is like the male perspective on a lot of things, because obviously we are women. So we can only discuss what we think, but we said, you know what, some of these things are such good conversations that they would be really good to open up.
Yes.
And have men and also other women join in. So if you didn't catch last Saturday's live, you can go back and watch it. But one thing that came up last Saturday, and it was actually from one of the men that did join in, it actually was something that Queen and I have discussed several times, which led us to more discussion that we thought would be good to have on tonight. And it was pertaining to Black fathers in the household. And we said Black fathers matter. So last week we were just discussing, and this was after our live, we were discussing, do you think there's an impact on men in particular when fathers are absent in the home? Or if you're a man, did that impact you if you grew up and your mother was the leader of your household? And then something that we discuss often as women is we noticed some differences in men that were raised in homes where there were active father figures or fathers in the home, as opposed to men that were raised by mothers.
Yes.
So me personally, I was just saying, I feel like a man, or a woman rather, you can't teach a man how to be a man. And
no.
I feel you can't.
No.
And I know, unfortunately, being a single parent, I don't think anybody chooses that for themselves, but it happens sometimes. And well, Queen, let me open this up to you. So before I start to say my views, what do you think? Do you think that, because you have sons, I don't have a son, I have a daughter.
Yes.
So if you want to share a little bit about that,
okay,
I want to ask you.
Okay. I'll be as transparent as I can.
Okay.
And let me say this: this is not to, bash men or.
It's not. This is a safe. Bash. This is a safe space.
A very safe space. And yes, I have two sons. They're grown now. Mm-hmm. And I was married at a young age.
Okay.
And so even though my ex-husband, he was in the home, he was not in the home, if I could say it like mm-hmm. that. There were some challenges in the marriage. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I took up the slack a lot, mm-hmm. In his absence. And I think my boys did struggle from being, just with me all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't think they struggled. Well, let me say it like this. I have had conversations with them as adults now.
Okay.
And I realize that a lot of areas that I enabled them in, because I did not know any better, because I am not a man.
Right.
And I don't know how to train them up in certain ways as far as men.
Right. Somebody said the sound is in and out. Let me see if I can adjust this sound quickly without messing this up. Okay.
All right.
I think I turned it up. I think that Talisha, tell me if that's better, okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's better or worse. I'm sorry, Queen.
That's okay. But yeah, so excuse me, I think I enabled them in a lot of areas because I didn't know any better. First of all, I was young. Mm-hmm. Second, their father was pretty young as well, and he was raised up with 7 sisters.
Oh, so was his dad in the home?
His dad was in the home, from my understanding.
So I guess that's another question to add in too, because I think we're starting to see a pattern that, and maybe that should be the third part. There can be a father in the home, but is he fathering? Is he parenting? Because if it's a parent, is it worse to have an inactive parent in the home, or is it worse to not have the parent there at all? Because if he was there, but he was not.
I don't know. I don't know, because then we would have to say that depends. I mean, everybody, I don't know.
Everybody's
I don't know
different.
how to answer that. Yeah, okay. Because even me as a female, you know, my dad was in the home, but he was not good for the home, if I could say it like that.
So having your father in the home and not being good for the home, because I know what I hear a lot of men say, and we talk about this all the time, the daddy issues that they feel like women have. Do you think do you think daddy issues exist?
I think daddy issues exist, and I think daddy issues exist for men as well.
So men, do you think that daddy issues exist? Because she just said it, and then to not go into too much detail, I definitely feel that daddy issues exist from having a parent there that is not doing the right thing, and then also from having a parent that's not there, and now all of the pressure and the responsibility is on one parent. And it seems like more often than not, that responsibility falls on mothers.
Yes.
So ladies, have you dated men with daddy issues? And those issues can come from just the dad not being in the home, or men. And we want to hear from you, because we only know our point of view as women.
Yes.
But obviously we don't know how that affects you. And when we don't have open communication, it's really hard. We talk a lot about generational curses.
Yes.
We talk a lot about breaking generational curses, and people, we pray against it, and you know, we do all of these things, but I think that it's important to have the conversations as well, because how can you fix things that you don't address?
Right.
I believe that you can't. So I believe that we need to have more conversations, and women need to listen to what the men have to say, and then men, we need you to talk.
Yeah, I wrote down some data, Mari, and 10 million single parents, out of 10 million single parents in America, 80% are women. And then we have 51.4 single mothers have never been married in America. Then we have 64 that are Black children being raised by single parents. So these numbers are 54% very high.
Of Black children are being raised by single parents. So that's a lot. That's like more than
that are
half.
women.
That are so, and not even just being raised by single parents, but being raised by women.
Black women.
By Black women. So that's more than half. And that's pretty alarming. That's pretty alarming.
Can we go into and go back to about dating someone that came from a single parent home, particularly a single mom? I've had that experience, and practically it was not too long ago, with a young man that, you know, I just looked at it as he really just loved his mom. But as I sat back, I'm like, wait, you really?
So let me ask you this. Does it seem sometimes, because this is what I've noticed in experiences with men that are raised by mothers, it seems like sometimes the moms inadvertently kind of turn the sons into the boys. They give them those responsibilities.
Now look at here. This is true, but not this mother.
Okay.
Because see, I'm not that kind of mother. Look, put me in Shady Pines. A good one. sons.
My daughter been down
and
put me in no shape.
and live y'all life. I don't want my sons to feel like they have to cater to me in such a way where they don't, live their lives and stuff. So, no, I wasn't that. I'm not that mom. I wasn't that mom. I hope I wasn't. If my sons are watching, can y'all come on here? But anyway,
so you said you dated a man and he had. So what was the relationship like with him and his mother?
They were very close, and I thought, like, wow, this is nice that he's so close to his mom. He really just loves his mom. But like I said, he really just loved his mom. And then when I got some of the backstory of how his dad was on drugs and how he was in and out the home, and they got divorced, and then another man came in and he wasn't good for the home, and how the mom really kind of set him up to be the man of the house. And that's another thing that women, we shouldn't do that, with our sons. Tell them, that they're the man of the house, or you got to look out for everything because you're the man of the house. Now,
because these are still children.
Yeah.
Now they have adult responsibilities to be the man of the house. The man of the house is not even there being the man of the house.
Yeah. So, and then we can look at, these things have been depicted in movies. Look at what Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man. You remember the guy and his mama was listening at the door with the cup and stuff. Did you see that movie?
I'm trying to think that I feel like I saw it.
Oh, he was just always calling him. She was always calling him and everything and stuff. Stuff like that and stuff. Or like we were talking about the baby boy. Oh my God. Jody.
Baby boy. Where was his father? And look at the relationship with the mom. It was like he just never grew up.
Yeah.
For so long. And then you have children with women, but you are still like dependent. And I don't want to say dependent, because maybe this sounds like I'm saying don't have a relationship with your mother. But I'm saying if a woman feels like she has to compete with your mother, because why are you competing with the mom?
Oh, I read that too in some of my research when I was looking about, when we were saying we we're going to talk about this. You're going to always be competing. You're going to always be competing, especially if that mom is a narcissist.
Basically like with men that have like the single mom, or this is just the mom that don't know how to let go of the son in general?
It could be a combination of both. Nah, I can let go. Bye. That's not that's not my ministry. And what was the other one? You said what? Your parent that can let go, the mother that can let go in general, can't let go in general, and what else?
Well, I guess we were saying like the mom that if she doesn't have a man, she puts those responsibilities on her son.
Can you? Yeah. What about that?
Well,
can you come over and do this? Can you come over and do that?
And how much is normal? This is just my mother, and then how much is it like you need to go and meet a man, because now you are given all this responsibility. And if the son is that dedicated to the mother, is that not making the relationship hard for him to actually have another woman in his life?
So, I am single. And so, the other day, and I have 2 sons and stuff, but, I feel like sometimes, it's my responsibility. I can ask my sons to do things and stuff, but.
But what is normal? And then what is this woman, this mother is turning her son
She's hovering.
And ladies, have you dated a mama's boy? Because for me, I call it a mama's boy. I really do think it's a mama's boy. And then I don't think it's just the son's fault. I think that the mother is her fault too.
Yeah.
Because if your son is a grown man and you have raised him and you want him to go and get into a healthy relationship,
Yes.
how can he do that if you are constantly calling on him? And I don't mean just the normal, because we should take care of our parents. I'm not saying that part.
Right.
But I am saying, when is
the cutoff?
When is right? What's the cutoff? When is it too much?
Yeah, because like the guy that I was dating, hey ma, you okay? And my mom's gonna come over, or we gotta go pick up my mom. And she wasn't like elderly.
Said, even when you were out of town one time, he was like, y'all were going to see a concert, and he was calling his mother.
Yeah.
Is that not
almost
too much?
50? Yeah.
Okay. I think that's too much.
It is. I didn't think about that at the time, but I was like, wow, he's calling his mother. Okay.
So did that make you, did you ever meet the mother?
Met the mother.
Did that start to make you have some animosities towards the mom?
Not at all. No, not at all. No, because I didn't look at it until later. Like, this is a lot. This is kind of too close. Mm-hmm. So no, I didn't have any animosity. I think, it's unfortunate because I don't know how she grew up.
Mm. And that's another thing that we were talking about too. We don't even know the struggle sometimes, because I know sometimes the thing that people do is they blame the parents for everything that did not go right. And at the end of the day, I think a part of healing is realizing sometimes your parents probably did the best that they could do with what they had, or what they didn't have. They did the best they could do with what they had and what they didn't have. And then I'm going to go back to my whole thing. That's why it's so important for people to get whatever therapy means to you.
Yeah.
For me, it's very therapeutic to talk to my girlfriend and say some things out loud, some things that maybe have stayed on my mind or stayed on my heart for so long, to say them out loud. This is how this affected me. This is how this made me feel. These are my triggers. These are my trauma responses. Because again, how do we fix issues in our communities that we refuse to address? We pretend like they didn't happen. Yes. I've even heard of instances, and these are like the worst kinds. You have child molesters in the family.
Yes.
And people, they brush it under the rug because you don't want that shame in your family. You don't want people to know. And I think us not wanting people, and I'm not saying you have to go to, this been years. I'm not saying you have to go and call out Uncle John in front of everybody.
Right.
But don't pretend like these things didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Don't pretend like they didn't affect you. And how do we fix them if we don't talk about them?
And that was something else I saw too, that the numbers were alarming as far as young men that have had, have been molested, and, because they lived in a single parent home, the mom might get a boyfriend
home with the black mother.
Yes.
So that and it said like 52%, and I don't know where the data came from, but I'm not saying I don't believe it. And I want to hear from the men. I want to know men, because that's one thing. It's hard for us to learn how to deal with each other when we don't even know what we're dealing with. I think so many men, women, we will open up eventually. If a man creates a safe space for us, we will open up and we will talk about the things that hurt us and that trigger us. But men,
what was that we were talking about? I don't know if that was the other day or not, where you was talking about something that goes back to slavery. Can you elaborate on that?
I think I was just talking about like the broken homes, and slavery was 400 years, and I don't want to go into that whole thing, but that was 400 years of breaking up Black families, 400 years. So then after, there was no therapy, no counseling, no reparation. It was no nothing. It was just like, okay, now go and figure out life the best way you can. And I think that does, I think it still has an effect today, because we were, our ancestors which passed down to generation after generation of people, were born into a system that created broken homes.
If you go and read and go and, you know, you can Google some of this stuff, you know, it shows that welfare was created to break up the Black homes.
I believe it.
I believe it
because
too.
I heard stories that you couldn't receive it unless
you,
yeah,
you know, you
which
was
is
with the
alarming
husband and stuff.
it would seem like if
Yes.
the two of us could work together and we could change the situation, but why does the man have to be out of the home in order for it to be an option?
Yes.
To receive help.
Yeah. And even, you know, we've had movies like Claudine and stuff. You ever saw Claudine?
You know, I'm not a movie person.
These are the stories, the soundtracks to our lives.
Okay.
And our mama's lives.
And I'm gonna watch some.
My mama's.
I'm gonna start to watch some movies.
Dolomite and all
watch
this,
some.
you know. You gotta see those things so we'll know where we came from and why these people are like this.
I'm gonna watch some.
I'm gonna watch some. I promise. But I'm gonna start watching some movies.
But yeah, it was created to break up the Black home. And even now, from what I understand, you know, from being a teacher, you know, a lot of the children, you know, they trying to find out, you know, if they can get free lunch and certain things and stuff. And if you got a father in the home, you can't get this, you can't get that and stuff, you know. And then we have, you know, the men getting upset because, you know, once they get on assistance, you know, men have to start paying child support or whatever and stuff. And that's a whole nother ball game and stuff, you know.
So wouldn't it be so easy if, like, because that's another issue that comes from broken homes, the whole child support thing. And I'm not saying it's bad because some people just won't help on both sides. But I'm also saying, wouldn't it be nice if the marriage or the relationship just won't work? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just learn to talk and work it out so we could keep us out of the court system with somebody else making decisions for us? I think it would be nice.
Most definitely.
I think for me, it all goes back to communication, but I still would love some men to tap in because I want to understand from, like I said, I've seen things.
Mm-hmm.
So I see what I think from the woman's point of view, but I don't know how it affects men I know what I think, but I've never heard a man say, not having my father here to teach me this or show me this, because parents are children's first teachers. Right. And a young lady said this yesterday. In fact, she tagged me in a video. You can be teaching things unintentionally. Like, you don't even have to say anything because what you actually do says more than anything. It says more than anything that you could ever say.
That's right.
What is it that you're actually doing?
That's right.
What do your children see you do?
That's right.
You know, you can tell them don't do this, but are they watching you do the same things you tell them not to do?
That's right. That's right.
And I think it is hard growing up as a woman when you don't have a good male role model. If the father is the first teacher and you don't have that teacher, I think you spend a great deal of your life trying to figure it out, and you bump
or trying to chase that.
I
remember, and my dad is he passed away. You know, that's going into the pandemic and stuff. And I'll never forget when I was getting married, you know, to my ex-husband at the time, and my dad, you know, he felt some kind of way. Not that I was marrying him, but he felt some kind of way because he felt like I never took his name. That goes back to that whole welfare thing and stuff.
So you didn't have your dad's last name?
I never had my dad's last name because of the situation with welfare and my mom and stuff. So she gave us her last name that she was married. Long story. We'll talk about that another day. But I remember telling him, you know, if he would have been a better dad, maybe I could have picked a better man.
You said this out loud? And but I think sometimes we worry so much about hurting people's feelings that not saying the truth, because that is the truth. That's the truth. If you had been a better dad, I could have picked a better man.
Mhm.
What was his response? I'm sure did that shock him, because he knew what kind of parent he had been.
Well, I don't recall him even having a response. That's just how he was. I think that, in that moment, I said what I said because he was harping on the fact that, like, I never got a chance to pass his name down or whatever and stuff. So, no, he never had a response and stuff. But it's true. I mean, maybe that was the truth. So for him, he received it and just was like, without saying you're right, So, but
now let me ask
that was
you
my
this.
reality.
Let me ask you this on the flip side, because like I said, she has sons. I have a daughter. She also has a daughter as well.
Right.
What if your child came and told you the things now that they felt you could do better, or just to get it off their chest? Because now
They
wrong.
did.
Okay.
We did have that conversation.
And I think that is so good.
And it bit, because I'm like, wait a minute, not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the. And here's the thing, coming from being a teen parent and having a child as a teenager, and coming from the kind of home that I came from, me personally, in my experience, I just tried to not be what I saw. And so I didn't think I was the perfect parent, but I thought that I had did and they're not saying that I did a bad job. They're just, as far as the boys, they said that I enabled them in a lot of ways. And I think that was my way of protecting them, because I didn't want them to hurt, and I didn't want anyone else to come in and think that they were going to father them. So I said, I'll do all of it.
So if you got into another relationship, you wouldn't have expected or hoped that, since they didn't have the role model from their dad, that if you had a healthy relationship with another man, that they could come in and pick up? Because I still believe that it's important that even if the other parent that you have the child with is not providing that it needs to come from somewhere. I'm not saying it has to be another boyfriend, but an uncle, a cousin, a teacher, somebody, because where do they learn it from?
I know.
Where do they learn it?
I didn't think like that. I didn't think like that because, if I dated in the times of the separations or anything, that was on the outside of my home. Whatever happens, it happened on the outside of my home. I don't know why I chose to do it like that. I think I felt like I was protecting them,
Protecting them from what?
Everything. Somebody else telling them what to do, how that's going to make them feel. I don't know. Everything. I just felt like maybe I'll just raise them on up and they'll grow up and then I'll live my life.
So when single mothers who are raising boys who are going to grow up to be men, did you think that you could, by yourself as a woman, teach them what they needed to have?
Not at all.
To be men?
Not at all. I remember a moment, and it's kind of triggering because my ex-husband, like I said, we had some challenges and stuff, and he wasn't available. And I went to light the fireworks. We did fireworks every year and stuff. And it was just, tedious stuff like that I would do. And girl, almost burned my arm off. And I remember just crying and crying, but I didn't want my sons to think I failed them, by not showing them that. Now, see, my daughter has a different father, and she has a wonderful relationship with her father. And even though he was not in the home, she was always going to see him, and he was coming to get her and stuff. And she was good,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I don't think my sons, don't get me wrong, my sons are not bad off. They're good boys and stuff, because even in this data, they said, you know, most young men, they get incarcerated, you know, they, you know, repeat the cycle and gets, you know, have a lot of babies and all of those things and stuff. So no.
Ladies, have you seen that? Have you seen men that come from single mother homes now go and start creating single mother homes? Like, do you think that affects them in that way, where they say, you know, it's not important for me to have to be here and father my child? Because I always try and figure out, like, what would make somebody feel like they don't need to help raise the child, the life that they helped to create. That amazes me.
Me too.
I'm like literally blown away by that.
Me too.
And I would say, if it's a male child, I'm not even saying that you don't have to raise your daughter, because we talk often about how it affects us as women when you did not have a good father figure in your life. You know, those daddy issues, they do exist. And ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, because I definitely think they exist. I think for some of us, we might spend time looking for the things that we were missing. If stability was the thing that you were missing, you might, in your broken state of mind, as long as this man offers some stability, you deal with all kind of other things that in your healed state of mind you would not deal with.
Or you get into a relationship and you have the "I'll do it" syndrome.
Oh my God, the independent woman. So do you think that's the result?
Not even the independent. Yeah.
I think it has a connection.
Yeah.
The two. Like Okay, go ahead.
Mine was more so I think it was a learned behavior. So I watched my mom. Nobody said anything. I watched my mom. You know, I'll do it. I'll do it. She would walk miles and carry the groceries and bring them in, and he could be sitting right there. Or
so, what did that teach you?
I walked miles. I walked miles. I got groceries. I did what she did because it was, I'll do it. I didn't think nothing because I didn't know any better. It was learned.
Right.
So when did I cut the grass? And I'm not saying.
Cut grass?
Yeah, I cut the grass now. But I cut the grass. Okay. I cut the grass. I
while you were married.
I would go out and shovel the snow. I would do all those things because I saw my mom do it.
That's a lot. And I think it was for me, like seeing my mother being the leader of our home. My mother was the breadwinner. She was the protector. She was the provider, you know. And so that made me very independent, almost to the point, and I had to unlearn some of this thinking because I think it made me kind of be like, I don't need a man. For years, I would think like, I can do this. I'm doing this. I can do this. And even when I was in relationships, sometimes I think in the back of my mind, it was always that thought, if they won't, I can. Because I really could, you know, and that kind of thinking could, I know we asked that question. You think sometimes you could be sabotaging your relationships. I think that hyper independent, I don't need, and in reality, God created woman for man. So how do you not need what you were created for?
And so that made me realize the areas that I enabled my sons in. Because if I was doing everything, even the stuff that I know as a man they should do, I didn't have them do it because
and they never
I had the "I'll do it" syndrome.
So that would always make me wonder too. So if a man, and me, I want to know from you, because I can only ask her, but she's not a man. But it would make me think, if I were a man and I grew up watching my mom do everything, I would not, like you said, your sons, they saw you do it, so they didn't try to do it.
It's not that they didn't try to do it.
Because I would be thinking, like, if I was a son, like, let me do this to take this pressure off of my mother.
Listen, let me tell you, when you get to a place where you don't know you're enabling someone, and I'm good at it. I was just good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gave me. I felt like I had the drive, and I was just so determined. Like, I'll do it. I'm gonna show him I can do it. I could do it all. And even you have said to me in the years of knowing me, like, what can't you do, Queen?
Right.
And it's
she if something is broken, she will have her tools. She can come and fix it. She can cook. She can clean. She can just pretty much do anything. But ladies, don't you get?
But I want to be soft.
Get tired? Right? Don't we want to grow into?
I don't want to do it no more.
Because that is draining. It is tiring. Yes, we can do it, but the real question is, do we want to do it? I don't want to be super independent anymore. That is very draining. It's very, very draining, and you carry too much weight. And I still believe, it's a reason that God created us differently. I don't think he meant for us to carry the same weight. If he did, then I could carry the baby for 4.5 months, and then the man, he could carry the baby for the other months, right?
And see, you remember how the other day, it's like I have to untrain myself to think like, because I was saying to you, well, not that it's gender roles, and you was like, well, why not? Why?
Because I believe if there are men in the house or boys, I should not take out the trash. I should not cut the grass. Those are just two things I can think of off the top of my head.
Talk about the culture, how you experience over there in Nigeria with some of the men over there, and how they gon' make sure it's done.
Well, that's the whole. So, and I'm thankful for the opportunities that I have had to travel, because then, whatever is normal to me here, when I get to go to a whole nother country and see how people operate there. And I will say that I do feel like you said, you don't feel like it should be gender roles. They're very much our gender roles. They're like, I know a lot of men who they barely know how to cook in Nigeria. Let's just talk about Nigeria in particular. Or if they do, if there is a woman in the house, they are not going in the kitchen and cooking anything, because it's like, this is for her to do. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, they, I've noticed too that the men there,
providers.
They are providers. Or even if even if the provision is not the best, they have the understanding, this is my responsibility to do this. It's not optional.
Whatever it takes.
I'm gonna go out and work, and so you literally from sun up to sundown, because I understand that this is my responsibility to make sure that my family is fed. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that there are not men here who don't think like that, but that was one thing,
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, that I noticed.
But
so I do believe in gender roles. Like, why would I be doing things that God gave us roles? Did he not?
Girl, they're gonna come fight you.
Let me just say it, because he did. He said that men should be protectors and providers and leaders.
It's time to set my teeth.
So what I always say is, if you don't like the responsibility that was given to you, you got to go talk to God about it. Woo. I didn't give it to you. I didn't tell. I hope that you will do it, and I might remind you if you're not doing it. But and on the flip side too, because I think we can't forget about what God told us as wives.
Most definitely.
Wives. Because that also goes back to marriage again.
And not to jump around, but just going back to, we need you, men. We need you. We need them to play their role.
We need you to play your role. Play your part. People have parts. You have God-given responsibility. you know.
And
And
there are some good women out here
there are good women.
that you know, would love to have that kind of man that, you know, would be genuine and stuff. And we have to break these generational curses. We have to break these cycles, these vicious cycles of you know, having these broken relationships and these broken homes, and not having these children. You know, I look at, you know, my granddaughter, for instance, and some of the stuff that she has had to endure and go through because her father does not want to really do what he needs to do.
Which still baffles me. That still baffles me to this day. How do you get to decide when to parent?
And let's say this: it's not always about finances.
It's not always about your children will remember you being there more, the things that you taught them, as opposed to the things that you buy them. Some of them don't even appreciate the things that we buy them. They don't even appreciate it. It's broken. It's thrown in the room in the corner somewhere. But they remember when you showed up to games and school events.
Right.
You know, your presence matters.
Right.
Because that goes back to, you can be in the home, but if you're there and you're not doing anything, is it any different from you not being there?
Well, we're tackling the whole. I'm a provider. I'm putting a roof over your head. I go to work.
But is that all that is a part of provision?
I put food on the table.
Ladies, tell me, because that's putting food on the table is good, because we definitely need to eat, and a roof over my head. Men need a roof over their head too, right? So you providing those things are great, and as women we appreciate them. But it's also some lessons that need to be taught in that home. You need to be leading some things in that home. What is our prayer life like? Do we have one together? Because what they say, a family that prays together stays together. You know, where it, and then if you had a responsibility of leading, where is your leadership coming from? That's important to me. But if the father is not even there, all of these questions, they just tossed out the window. But does it mean that because they're not there? And that's what I said, like do you find somebody to fill in the gap? You know? And I still want to hear from men. If you were raised in a single family home, did that a single parent home, did that affect you? Because we want to know, because we it's so often that we say to each other, we don't understand men. Mostly because you guys don't talk.
That part. Your
answers are so vague. You don't want to open up. You don't want to say how you feel. You don't want to show emotion. And I guess it's because they say we don't want to look weak, but we don't think it's looking weak. It's really, how can we work together if we don't understand what you need and you don't understand what we need?
We just need some clarity.
We need some clarity. If these things affected you, you can tell us that too.
And how can we help?
How can we help? You know, and at this point, okay, if a man grew up without the father in the home, you know, it's maybe we can't help in that aspect, but at least us knowing maybe what triggers you, because I still know we say that not having, you know, that support from that other parent, there are things that trigger you. Very much so. There are things that will trigger you. So how does it trigger you? How does it affect you now? You know, but I guess we can never know these things if people don't talk about them.
Right.
And do you think it's, well, obviously the data says that it affects more Black households. Because I was going to say, do you think this is the issue in other communities? How do they fix it? Do they fix it? Because why is it so high for Black families in particular? Well, I guess I feel like I know the answer to that. Like I said, I feel like this all started 400 years ago when you go and you break up homes, but that's not the topic for today.
What do we do to break this cycle?
What do we do to break the cycle? If you're a mom raising sons because the other parent is just not doing their part, what are you doing to break the cycle, ladies? We want to know, and I'm sure if it's something that you're doing that's helpful, it might help other mothers out too, for you to say, hey.
And another thing too, men that are going into dating women that have sons, don't go in with the whole ideal of, oh, they're mama's boys or this and that and stuff, and which that may be true. These things are gradually learned behaviors sometimes because we don't have the tools. We don't have the, I can't even count on my hand too many men that I could say, oh, well, when dad was out there doing whatever, I could take my boys and say. So I think that's what shut me down from that.
So, Mia, if you were raised in a single mother household, did somebody fill in the gap for you, or did you just not get the lessons? And then what happened when you became an adult? Because we talk about, as women, what happened to us when we became adults, having our mothers be the head of households, and how we tried to work through our, is it always trauma? Is it any other word?
Trauma.
How we always work through our trauma. What do men do? Do you guys, because I said this last week, I still don't think that men get therapy. Or do you talk to your friends, or what exactly do you do? Because we don't want to keep repeating these same scenarios over and over and over and over and over again. So clearly conversations need to be had. The data didn't say that 51% of Black children are raised by single dads. It said single moms. So men, what's going on here?
And a third live in poverty.
That's even worse. That's even worse. They're raised by single men. Devlin said we talk to other men. So Devlin, can I just ask this question? Were you raised in a single mother household? And when you guys talk to other men, I'm not trying to be in your business, but a little bit I am trying to be in the business. Like, what do you talk about? Like, if it hurts you, do you say this hurt me? And like, when I talk to my girlfriend and I tell her, this thing hurt me, this affected me, this made me have these trigger points, she tries to counsel me, maybe through her own experience, maybe through prayer. I know she's done some therapy. So when you guys talk, do you come up with solutions so that these cycles aren't repeated, or y'all just say it and get it off y'all chest and then that's just that? I'm very, very curious.
What was she saying?
No, Devlin is a man. He said that they talk to other men.
Okay.
So I'm, which is good. I do think, because that's what I also used to wonder. Like,
do men talk to other men?
Do they talk to other men?
And what do they say?
Let us be nosy for a minute, Devlin. Since
Please.
You're the first man
you want to come on our live
that tapped in, tell us.
We need
if
some help.
You were raised in a single.
I want to know how, even though my sons are grown, I still want to know how to help them, and I still want to be able to guide the young men that, I teach in school on how to, find a mentor or find somebody, help us, because, Black fathers matter. They do
matter. And they are needed in the home, not just by men, but I think in particular. So Devlin says we do not word it in that manner. He said we do not word it in that manner. We speak about the issues and ask for advice, but without the worry about the backlash of the emotional part. Okay. Well, Devlin, I'm glad to know that you guys do talk to other men or somebody, because in my mind, men don't talk. I think men to me, it looks like men just kind of deal with whatever hand that they're dealt sometimes.
So let me play the devil's advocate as a friend, as a male friend when you're talking to your male friend and your male friend comes to you and say, you know, man, you know, I'm not taking care of my child.
Do they even admit that though? Do they admit that I'm not taking care of my child?
I don't know. How does this go?
Well, I don't know either.
Because I just feel like some of y'all be out here co-signing. And
And the co-parenting relationship is so important. Even if you cannot work it out together in the home, it does not mean you don't try and have a healthy relationship for the child, because that's the main focus, the child. We don't want to keep producing broken children that have broken pieces that now they're going and starting families with the same trauma that they never addressed. Devlin said, yes, they do, but there is a well, what is the double standard, Devlin? I'm curious to know the double standard.
And if you're tired of typing, you can come on the live.
If you like, Devlin, this is a safe place. You are the only man that actually answered tonight, so that's why
we just want some clarity, you know.
And ladies, I'm still asking, if you have dealt with men that come from households that the mother was the only influence there, because I feel like those men that I've dated, that I've had that experience, I do see some things.
Oh yeah,
I do see some things, and so I'm very. How do we let him join this video?
Go up there.
Jesus.
So here we go.
I see some things, and I you know, I want to speak on them sometimes, because I'm like,
look like a little person.
okay, Devlin, I think that I just clicked the option for you to join. But other men, I want to hear from you too. If you were raised in a single mother household, or even if you had friends that were, did you see any differences? Did you notice any differences for yourself as a man? Were there any deficits? Because I feel like women can't raise men. Well, I think a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. Let me say that, because obviously they're trying to raise them.
We're going to get this right, because there are some strong women, Black women, that have raised some successful men, and we will give that.
But do you still think it was still missing pieces? Still missing?
Come through?
I'm not sure. Even if you were able to raise a man and he was successful, do you not feel like there are things that are missing? Because how do you teach him about manhood? Can you? I don't think my daughter's father is very, very active in her life. And how do I do this? But there are still, my daughter's father cannot teach her how to be a woman, but he definitely can teach her some valuable lessons about men. And he can definitely be what he is, a positive male role model in her life, which she needs, because I think about this all the time. And we were married before, we're divorced now. But one thing that I told my daughter's father is, I don't care whatever happens between us, I need you to always raise your daughter, because she needs you. Women also, like we just said,
I think I said the same thing.
Yeah,
to my ex-husband
they
about my
need
boys.
you to show them. You are their first teacher. They need to be taught, what do I look for when I'm dating a man? What should he do, or what should he not do?
Question: is it ever too late?
So wait, Devlin, rotate your camera. Make it. Is this horizontal? Yeah. Turn it horizontal. He said to resend the invite. Okay, let me try to do this. Go ahead and ask your question while I try to figure this out.
Jeez, I got a brain fart. What was my question? Do you think it's ever too late? Let's say for my son's ages, 31 and 29, is it ever too late to be that dad?
Devlin, can you do me a favor and send an invite to join the live, because I'm having a little technical difficulty trying to
Did it push?
Add you in. Joseph says the deadbeat dads I know think that they are doing a good job. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Are you, Joseph, do you think that they really think that they're doing a good job?
They do. They do.
So you mean if a man knows I don't provide anything for my child, I'm not teaching my child anything, I'm not showing them what manhood looks like, even if it's a woman, because women, we need to learn that. You know, when you're young, you need to know, what does this look like? Otherwise, I think that's how we bump our heads a lot. And we date guys that in our right mind, if we had seen good examples, they probably would never have been options.
Ooh,
So
Lord,
Joseph,
that's
do
a
you
lot of
really
time
believe
to
that these men think that they're doing a good job if they're a deadbeat?
I agree with him. I agree with
Do
him.
you?
Some of these men do. They really do. They think that, you know, hey, I brought them there. They, you know.
So it's enough to, I can't believe that they would think
go
that.
over and say, hey, what's up?
Joseph, so do you have any friends? Let me take it a bit further. Do you have friends that are deadbeat dads, and do you take the responsibility of telling them about themselves that, hey, this is not the right thing, and yes, you should do better to help raise your child?
You can be my friend.
Well, let's ask him first, because, well, oh, you just said the ones that you know. Are these your friends or just random people, Joseph? Because I'm curious. Devlin, I sent the invite again. It said that you declined it. You have to rotate your camera and then click the option to accept. Joseph, do you have children? I never asked you that before, but now I'm going to be in your business a little bit. Do you have children?
Do you have sons?
Do you have sons? And what lessons do you think are very important for your sons to learn, and only you as a man can teach them? He does not have children. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Do you mentor, like, your nieces, nephews?
Or those, the people that you said that you know, the men that you said you know in particular, who you know they are not doing a good job, do you tell them, sir, you most definitely are not? Because I think it's important. You know how sometimes we don't want to tell people things because we're afraid to hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather hurt your feelings and break generational curses of creating broken children.
Yes.
I would rather hurt your feelings than
Yes.
watch you just be a bum parent and not say anything about it. So Joseph, do you tell them? Devlin, send the invite one more time, please. Where's our good friend John this evening?
John barbecuing or cutting
John,
hair?
are you barbecuing or cutting hair, or what are you doing? Because you actually
was the one that sparked the fire. Yes.
Joseph said they don't listen to anyone. So you do try and talk to them though, Joseph, right?
I couldn't be their friend.
And are you still their friends? Because I could not actively watch my friend be a horrible parent and I not feel like it's my obligation to say anything. And I think you can almost tell anybody anything in love.
Amen.
It's the way you say it. You can say,
Amen.
You can tell somebody in a loving way, hey, I don't know that this way that you're doing this, you know, I don't know if that's right. I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
You know, it may be off.
Won't go through.
Definitely, I don't know what's happening. But are you still their friend, Joseph? If you watch people that are, you said the word, I'm just gonna repeat what you said, deadbeat. You know, are you still their friends? Because, like, how and why?
And back to the question.
Because do birds of a feather flock together?
Yes.
I'm just asking.
And back to my question, is it ever too late? Because my sons are 29 and 31, and they're doing very well. Don't get me wrong, but as a father, from a father's perspective or a man's perspective, you know, can you?
So Joseph said he gave up on them and he doesn't stay in the same city anymore. But Joseph, you know what? So is it a time when we should just give up on somebody? If they are your friend, do you give up on your friend?
Well, what can he do? What more could he do?
I don't know. What if Jesus Jesus gave up on us. That's the only thing I can say. Like, I can you keep talking to them? Because it's going to affect the children. And I don't know. I think they're worth fighting for. I really do.
Yes.
I think breaking these cycles, like hearing data that says 51% of Black children are raised in single family households headed by the moms.
That's a large.
That's a lot. I think it's worth trying to continue to put the word, and that's half the reason we decided to start going live and sharing the things that we talk about, because how do you end things, cycles that you won't address? How do you address it? Social media gives you the opportunity to get in front of thousands of people at one time, and a lot of people are on social media. So if that's the tool that we chose to use, but in your instance, Joseph, like, can you keep talking? Is it worth it? Are the children worth it? Because I was a teacher at one time, and in the school that I was working at, it was rough. We had kids that were on parole and they had tethers. I had never seen a tether. I had never seen this before. You know, I had kids that when they got comfortable enough, they would tell me things, and some of these things would break my heart. So, and she's still in the classroom right now with younger kids, and because I had, you know, middle and high school, but she has the younger ones, elementary. And it's some stories that I hear, and I'm just amazed that I'm saying, like, if we, because we can't change
because it starts with us.
It starts with us. Each one,
and
I believe,
starts
each
with
one
us having
one.
This conversation now.
So he said the mother of the kid is terrible too. And that's a whole other topic about deadbeat mothers. And then what, you know what, Joseph, I'm gonna tell you something, because I know some mothers who they need some attention. I'm gonna just be honest. And
what kind of attention?
Well, you know, when you're raising daughters, because I can speak about a daughter, I'm raising a daughter. You know, there are things about hygiene and just good grooming and just being a lady that we need to have conversations about. And those conversations, I could tell they weren't being had. You know, so in those instances, then whenever I'm in the picture, I have to have those conversations. Okay, oh, he sent it again. Let me try to accept Devlin's again. So that makes it even worse, Joseph. I think if they have a deadbeat dad and a deadbeat mom, do you have a relationship with these children? Can you step in?
You know, at this point, and I feel his pain because I've seen it time and time again, especially with the mother thing, when they're acting ugly or whatever and stuff. So all he can do is pray.
But is that all we can do? Sometimes I hear that phrase, all we can do. Is it all that we can do?
In some situations, I feel like, you know.
Have you exhausted every other option? Devlin, I'm approving you to join, Devlin. I'm approving you to join, Devlin. Is that the only option? Is that all we can do is pray? Because that's another thing. That's another phrase that I hear in the Black community so much. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray about it. But what happens after the prayer? Because the Bible says faith without work is dead. So is there
It starts with us, really, for real, to tell the truth, you know, and I learned this going through the DeVuli with the leadership program to help the urban community. It starts with us going into these communities and trying to make a difference, starting up nonprofits to help with parenting classes and help with, you know, babysitting, you know, because trying to get a job, they need skilled trades jobs out here more, you know, more skilled trades jobs and stuff. You know, things have changed so much and stuff, and even including, you know, finding ways to get free therapy. You know, sometimes it's as small as trying to, you know, get a haircut for that child and stuff. You know, these little boys, you know, in the urban communities and in our backyards and stuff, they really, you know, need people like, especially the men need to get more involved in the community, you know.
Joseph said at the end of the day, men and women sometimes pick the wrong person to have kids with.
Oh, most definitely.
But then what after that though? So you pick the wrong person. Then what? Then what? Because now the children are here. And I've actually had this conversation with somebody several times. You very well can pick the wrong person, but then what happens next? Like, the kids are here, and do you fight forever because you realize you picked the wrong person, or do we say, hey, the child is here now, we need to be able to work together, you know, we need to be on one accord? Because I learned when my daughter was very young that they will play when you're divorced, they will play
Both sides.
They will play both sides. And when me and my daughter's father realized that, it was like, wait a minute. You know, but you have to get to a certain level of maturity to say, even if I'm not with you, we still have the same child. And this child still needs us to parent them. They still need what I'm offering as the mom and what he's offering as the dad, because we are not bringing the same thing to the kid table.
Right.
We're not.
Right.
So if you pick the wrong person,
where does the
what?
bickering stop? Where does the fighting and the back and forth, and where do you say, look, we have children. If we don't do nothing else,
let's raise our children so that they don't grow up with trauma stories and trauma experiences that they are now passing on to their children. Joseph said the majority of the time they will keep repeating the cycle.
Right.
Or what we talk about often is you have the one that's the total, like the cycle is a different kind of cycle. It's like, I'm not going to deal with anything that was trauma in my childhood. As soon as I see a person present any small piece of this to me, I'm shutting down and I'm running away. And that's unhealthy.
The word
too.
is emotional avoidance.
Emotional avoidance.
That's what Mama's boy was. He avoided emotions at all times.
And that can't be healthy. Like, but I think a lot of men avoid emotions.
They do.
Like, men, why do you guys do that? Like, we know you feel things. We know you feel things. But I'm still curious for my ladies. If you've dealt with these men, do you feel like you've noticed differences in the men that did not have fathers in the home or father figures? Did you? Because I do. In a little piece of me, I noticed too, they don't, some of them, because it's not always all, but some of them don't mind putting a lot of weight on women. They don't mind, even though they saw it killing their mother, they still don't mind all of that pressure and that weight being on a woman. Devlin says, second issue is not that a man cannot teach the opposite sex to be that properly. It just requires more effort. Devlin, I don't think a man can teach a woman how to be a woman.
No.
They don't have, where is the experience coming from? And that's why I say that I don't think that a woman can teach. We can instill in them, I think we can instill values that we think are important, but how do I teach a man how to be a man? I'm not a man. And I know so many times you hear men telling women what kind of woman they should be, and then us women, sometimes we are telling men what kind of men they should be. Where did we get the standards from that we're setting? Like, it's just our expectation to me. He said, growing up in a single mother home does not weaken a man. It can strengthen their understanding of what women are. I don't think that it weakens a man, Devlin. But so do you feel like your mom, if you grew up in a single parent household with your mother, do you feel like she taught you about manhood? How did she teach you about that
Right.
as a woman? That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not just.
And did it provide you and give you the tools that you needed to be the man that you are today?
And Devlin is very responsible, by the way. Devlin was one of my favorite students. I'm so, even I look back now, like some of y'all kids, he said yes. So Devlin, you don't feel that. So you grew up in a single mother household, and you feel that you lacked nothing as far as learning about manhood and what that means and what that entails. You feel personally that your mom was sufficient, because if she was, I can't argue with you about that.
Or did you have uncles or somebody that
Did anybody else step in
kind of filled in the gap?
Fill in the gap? Because I think that's important too. Just because a parent doesn't provide that, if you're a parent and you are raising a child and that's not in the home, go find it. It doesn't mean that they don't need that, in my opinion.
Because like I shared with you, and this goes back to one of the questions we had. My parents, I feel like our families enabled them, and they did not.
Devlin said, honestly, many men showed me what not to do. Devlin, amen.
God bless you.
God bless you. And may he continue to bless you, because that's the flip side of it too. You will date, or not date, I'm sorry, you will have, and one of the ladies said that, unintentional lessons. Sometimes you will watch some things that will make you say, I'm never going to do this, and I'm never going to be like this. Because you see his dysfunction, you see it's not healthy, you see it's not good. Why would you go and then do that to somebody else? So,
but unfortunately, Devlin, the numbers,
more often than not, I feel like that's not the case, though.
It's not the case. It's not the case.
And then what?
I don't know, Mar. I think that, like I said, for me, in my experience, and like I said, there was no, this is not to bash my ex-husband or anything, but we were both young, and that's a vicious cycle that's going on still, in these days, in these times. But we didn't have the tools. I think we just kept,
we did the best we could with what we had. But if you don't have a lot to work with, you might not be doing the best. Joseph said there are no more grandparents with traditions. All we have now is social media. And Devlin said the numbers, he said he has to disagree with those numbers.
Oh.
But Joseph, let's go back to that, because and I'm not knocking the young grandparents. I'm just saying the grandparents are getting younger and younger, and maybe the grandparents are still outside. They outside with it.
And
I don't know.
And Joseph, I just went on and went online and researched, and I watched several videos.
Devlin said he disagreed with the numbers.
Oh, well, I went on research, Devlin, and looked at several YouTube videos, and that's where I got the data from and stuff. So
Devlin, are you saying that you believe that you saying that the numbers as far as what, like that there really aren't that many households with single Black mothers raising children? Is that the part you disagree with? And Joseph, you know what? There are some lessons that my grandmother, because sadly I did not know my grandfathers, either of them. They both passed, so I didn't know them. But there are things that I remember my grandmother said. I do agree with that part. It may not be the grandparents' responsibility, but I guess we can keep on saying that, like, oh, it's not my job. It's not my responsibility. Whose is it then? Because remember, it takes a village. And back in the day, somebody random could whoop your child. But now, let that happen and see what happens.
Yeah, we don't have the grandparents either. But however, even though I had the grandparents, but then, like I told you, I found out later that the grandma was a side chick. Sorry,
Lord.
you know. So that still was bad. You know what I'm saying? So
It is. But you know what? Even back in the day when grandmas were side chicks, even if granddads had five
granddad
families,
was a provider, though.
they were providing for five
He
families.
provided.
Devlin said, I believe not enough honesty comes up about single male households. Being a single father is not treated with the same adoration as a single mother. And Devlin, you know what? That has some truth to that. Because I have personally known some amazing fathers that, in my opinion, I considered them single. And well, they were single, right? Can I say that? They were single fathers who, and I'm gonna say this, they not only parented children that were theirs, but also children that were not biologically theirs, and they loved those kids just the same. Everything that they provided for their biological child, they provided for that other child as well. And they worked till the day that they were no more to make sure that.
And Mari, I'll even say that about my ex-husband, because my daughter is his stepdaughter and stuff. And he always treated her as his own. Like I said, we just had some challenges in our marriage that caused, for us to have where there was some division. And so therefore parenting did not take first place in our family. He did not realize that, I'll give it to him. I'll grant him grace because, like I said, we were young, and you learn what you learn from the generation that you come from and stuff, So, but he was really good with, my daughter and stuff. He took care of her.
And that's a blessing, because they should. You should take care of children that you create. Devlin said, while yes, I was raised in my mother's home, she never made me to have or hate or not be around my father. And he said she gave me all options and rights, and right to decide on my own. This is not the option for many kids. The mother will make them not be able to be around the father. And see, that's the whole another topic right there.
Not me.
We talking about Black Dads Matter, but I guess we didn't address that part of it too. That sometimes the mom is the toxic person. That is the reason that the dad can't even fully be a dad.
I've dated someone that told me that the mom was keeping the child from them because he would no longer sleep with her. We have all kind of stuff going on.
And unfortunately, I've dated someone where the mother was the extremely toxic person. Like, so toxic that you almost wonder, like, do you even love this child? Because first of all, let's just talk about the language that she uses, not only around the child, but in conversations with the child. That's just, and there are some toxic mothers. We are not even pretending like that does not exist. There are some very, very, very toxic mothers. There are, where and it's bad when that is the person that might be the primary caregiver for the child.
Yeah.
Because all that toxicity, now you just pouring that right on in, pouring it right on in.
I don't know if you remember, thinking back on Baby Boy, how it ended, everything turned around and he ended up, going and being with the
But look at everything that she had to, what's her name? Was that her name?
Something like
that. Look at everything that she had to suffer through.
Right.
To get to that point.
You need to go get an abortion. He messing around.
He picking her up late from work with her car. Let's not do that. That's too much. That is too much. Devlin said society allows men as a whole to not be able to show affection and feel proud even about their children, because if not doing the why is this disappearing? The absolute most, they are not doing enough. Pats on the back and handouts are not allowed. But Devlin, okay, let's say if society says that men shouldn't show affection, what do you say? Like I'm always saying, personally, I don't let society dictate my actions. You know, I know, right, because we live in a society. This world is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So if we let this world and society dictate what we do and don't do, maybe we gonna be messed up.
Because what does God say?
What does God say? And I'm always pat a brother on the back. Like, I don't know. It's no war between, I don't think it should be men against women. Like, that's half the reason we having this conversation now. At what point do we say, you know what, like, we were made for each other? We were literally like, I'm somebody's rib.
Right. Because
I'm somebody's rib.
Look. I want y'all to feel better on Father's Day. I don't want y'all to feel like we get all the gifts. I don't want y'all. I don't.
Right.
I don't.
Or all the credit. Or they say, oh, you see all these statuses where mothers are pretending like the fathers don't exist. Are they pretending though? You know, if the father is active, gift, which he should be, I don't have a problem. Every Father's Day, I'm going to tell my daughter's father, Happy Father's Day. I appreciate you. I need you. I don't tell him I need him. That part I just think in my head. But I do. I let him. Right. I appreciate you. Even though that's a given, you should. Because there's so many that don't. We should show appreciation. You know, you are doing
my
it.
sons are grown, but I often, share it with my ex-husband. My sons still need you. And anytime I know they, having an issue or feel some kind of way and stuff, I always tell them, go talk to your dad.
So, Devlin, which part? I'm confused. He said true, but even men start to believe this about men because that is what is shown the most. What are you saying is shown the most, that we don't appreciate men? And women, I'm still asking you too, because maybe I don't think it's just us though, but like I do think that if you are raising sons, do you think it's having any impact on your son that the father is not there in the home? Or do you think that it's fine, you're doing a good job? Because I do think it has an impact.
But Mari, I thought I was doing a good job, and which my son said I did do a good job, but they said I enabled them in a lot of areas and stuff.
So can you give me an example of one area that they mentioned? Do you remember?
Let me ponder on that.
And then Devlin said, example, if a man admits he is short on a bill, they will, this is so light, can I make this darker?
I don't think so.
They will not hear often that is okay. They're told, how dare you? You are the man and you need to get another job. Well, is that true? Do we say those kind of things? Do women say those kind of things?
Yes.
We do. Well, Devlin,
Devlin, I ain't mad at you.
We're not saying that you lying.
I wish you could come on. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, I'm not even, hey, I agree with you, bro.
Joseph said, I'm glad to say that the friends I do have, where did it go? Oh, that have kids, most of them are raising them. And that's good because children need both. I think children need both parents. I think that there were things that God specifically put in women to give, and then there are things that he put in men. And I personally believe, because it has to be balanced. It has to be. And I'm not a man, so I don't think I can pour into a man what another man would pour into him.
No.
And sometimes when I look at some men that I know personally that were raised by their mothers, I don't know that, what's the word I'm trying to say? I don't know that they
are manly.
I'm not not even gonna say manly, but the thinking is different. The expectations for women are different. You know, like I said, they seem to be a little bit more okay with, you know, a lot of things that I think that men who are raised by dads, they know that this is what men do. Sometimes maybe those men don't know that. That's all I'm gonna say on that part. Tammy said balance is everything. And that part is so true.
Period.
When things are out of balance, and that's why I think it's so many issues, because things get so out of balance. Like I said, I do believe in, God, he made women nurturers. He did. He made us that way,
But I go back to even what we need that balance, but like what Joseph, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
What Joseph was saying about tradition. Gone are the days of tradition. People don't even sit at the table and eat no more.
And if they sit at the table and eat, the phone is out, the iPad, the tablet. They don't even have a conversation,
No.
which is another thing. I always keep thinking, like, maybe that's why it's so hard for people to talk now, because you have so many distractions, and if you don't have the conversations that are important,
Mm-hmm.
then who's having these conversations with your children? Somebody is. It's some things sometimes that my daughter, and I'm so glad that my daughter is very comfortable talking to me. She'll come home and tell me some things after school, about things that she has seen or things that other children have said. And I'm like amazed. Well, I guess I'm not amazed, because I'm not going to pretend like when I was her age, I didn't see some of these things with my own eyes. So let me not pretend that I'm amazed. But I'm surprised. I don't know why I'm surprised. Maybe because it's my baby telling me. But honey, she tells me some things, and I'm like, thank God I'm there to talk to her and clear some things up.
But things are so different.
They
now,
are
and
very, very
and
different.
Me going back into the classroom and being a teacher. Ooh, some of the stuff I hear is,
some of the stuff you see too.
yes.
It's things that you have told me. Tammy, have you dated a man before that was raised by a single mother? Did you notice any difference? Do you feel like single mothers help to create mama's boys, or what do you think? What has been your experience? And Queen, I still say nobody could pay me to go back in the classroom. It's not even that I didn't love teaching, but baby, when you in the classroom, you are a teacher, a therapist, a parent, and that's just with the students, and that part is okay. But then think about all the expectations that the schools put on you. You overworked and underpaid.
Oh no, Sean.
That's a whole nother topic. You right. Oh my God, Tammy said. So Tammy, wait, because she said I was married to one for 17 plus years. A mama's boy, or he
Come
was?
on, Tammy.
Tell us
Talk,
which
girl.
one. Because I told.
It's a adoptive seed.
Oh, let me see. Tammy, it's Devlin again. Tammy, tell us a little bit about it, because I feel like, baby, when it's a mama's boy, you might as well just run, because you're gonna compete forever with that mom, and who wants that? Because like a man should leave his father and mother and what
Cleave
to his wife. So why am I competing with mom? I'm not. Guess what? I'm not competing with mom.
I will not.
I'm not competing with her at all.
I will not.
Oh Lord. So Joseph said majority of kids were not made out of love. That's the biggest problem we have.
This is true.
Baby, I rebuke the spirit of lust, because we can't go around one night of fun and now you have a whole you got to start thinking about it. This person that I'm about to lay down with, can I do life with them? Because whether you like it or not, once you have a child, if you plan on being an active participant in that child's life, you're going to do, if both parents plan that, you're going to be doing life with that other parent.
That's right.
Whether you like it or not.
That's right.
she said, Tammy said he was raised by his mom and mindset was different, emotionally unintelligent.
Tammy, can you tell us
Ooh, Tammy,
Can you tell us more?
girl.
Because you said it, not me.
Tammy, if you want to, you could come on the live as well if you can try to tap in, or
Emotionally
if you're
unintelligent.
available, if you're tired of typing.
Emotionally unintelligent. And the mindset, like I said, I feel the mindset is, for me, it was very short-lived because I don't want a mama's boy. I'm just gonna say that.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And
But I liked him so much. I was trying to overlook it, but I was just like, ooh, this is a little weird.
Tammy said because most women are not emotionally intelligent.
Tammy, tell us more. What do you mean? Tell us more.
So
What she said?
she said most women are not emotionally intelligent.
Girl,
Elaborate.
you starting a fire.
And we gonna add the lighter fluid.
Right.
Elaborate.
Come on.
But Queen, so because for me, I cannot like a mama's boy. I feel like
what he was so masculine.
was he though? Can you be a masculine mama's boy?
Yes, you can.
Okay, well tell me about it, because when I see mama's boys,
That overshadowed in my mind, like that he was such a mama's boy. I mean,
how? When every move he had to make, he had to consult his mother. How does that? Well, there you have it. You said the key word: living in lust. I rebuke creating relationships out of lust, honey, because when you get to see the real person that you are dealing with,
ooh, child, I asked God to reveal it though.
reveal it. Pray for that spirit of discernment.
Yeah.
Show me who this person really is. And show me before, if it wasn't meant for me to connect, do not let me connect at all. Amen, Joseph. He said, I tell all the young men that I come across to put a condom on.
Yes.
Because you know what? We can preach abstinence. We can, but that's a whole nother topic. Did we practice abstinence at these ages?
One of the things I respect about my sons, and well, my youngest son, he will not bring females around me. He said, in order to meet my mom, I need to be serious about you.
And there are some men that's the total opposite. They take,
and that's how mama's boy was.
Keisha,
I could at the end, I was like, oh, he probably taking everybody to mama. Grown, amen. Grown, almost 50.
So Tammy said most of us women react emotionally. However, I don't mind dating a mama's boy as long as he knows what. Oops, it went away. What thus says the Lord.
Well, Tammy, now that's what I'll say. See, I believe it's different levels, because I've had people say that my sons are mama's boys, but they think they're mama's boys because they're so close to me or they had lived with me for such a long time. And that's the furthest from the truth. You know what I'm saying?
And I think your experience dating the mama's boy was different too, because it was like it was him, you, and his mother, and everybody was kind of equal. Like, because I was still like blown away when you told me he left. Was he in the service or something?
Yes.
He left the service to come home to take care of the mom, which is a noble thing to do. Mm-hmm. But can you, a mama's boy on that level, how do you have a relationship with a woman? Because your mom is almost like coming in, taking that space for you to be able to be in a relationship with a woman.
But this goes back
Tell me, she said she appreciates a man that loves and respects his mom.
Most
so
definitely.
do I.
I believe my sons they love their mom.
It's a different from loving and respecting your mom, and then the mom
hovering
and having the same expectations from the son that she would from a husband or a boyfriend. That's my only concern.
Example. One time I was coming to see him because he stayed out of state, I was coming to see him, and his mom wanted him to drive her to another state to help out with some court stuff for the brother. And they got into it because he was like, no, I'm having company. I'm not going to stop and drive you all the way to such and such. And she was really upset about this. Like, you're not going to do that.
And
for
was
me.
there nobody else?
When she got there, it was somebody
So
else.
somebody else was available.
Yes, that's too much. That's too much. That when you feel like your son is supposed to stop his life and be at your beck and call all the time, no, that's too much. That's too much. Like I told you, put me in a nice Shady Pines. The one with the pool and the shuffleboard, and maybe they should have the hustle classes.
The hustle classes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't want my sons. But they love their mother. They do. My sons love. We're
And
very,
I
very
would feel
close.
I would not date a man that does not love his mother and respect her, because that's the person that. Well, I won't say that, because there are some bad mothers. So let me not say that. But if his mom was a good mom, you should love her and you should respect her. And if you won't even respect your mother, why would I be expecting anything different? Tammy said boundaries are important and needed. Yes, they are.
Yes.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries and balance. Very, very important. The
Yes.
B's. Boundaries and balance. Devlin. Oh, okay. I see the request now. Let me try this again, because we want to hear what you have to say, Devlin. Boundaries and balance.
I don't know either.
But yeah, boundaries and balance, most definitely, and yeah, you can't deal with it. I mean, I know I can't ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I will never.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's why I've changed my prayer, because no, I want you to love and respect your mother, because that shows your character. But I also, no.
So Tammy said, good mom or not, I wouldn't date a man who doesn't respect his mother.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tammy. I was going to say that to Mark.
So is respect, so is respect just something? So when I say respect, I don't mean you disrespect her, cuss her out, and mistreat her, but it is some parents that did not do the right thing. Do they deserve the same kind of respect?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm not gonna disrespect.
Give me a second. I'm setting up now that it's working.
Oh, I'm glad you got it working, Devlin. So
And you're supposed to have phones.
I mean, I understand what you're saying and stuff, but I agree with Tammy. I'm
So
sorry.
you agree? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe it's just me.
Sure,
Maybe Tammy, the Lord gonna have to still work with me.
I agree.
Because
There's
I'm not gonna
something-
disrespect you, but I guess maybe I'm saying I'm not, like, why did you deserve the respect? Like, how? We have to forgive, heal, and move on. That's true.
That's true.
That's true. So even when they don't do the right thing,
Yes,
we
we
gotta
got on ground
forgive,
grace and move
heal.
on.
She still have talks with me
I'm a grant. Yeah.
because
We still processing.
Because my grace
and-
card sometimes
yeah.
I be tossing.
She wavering her grace.
Sometimes, but it's true. So Devlin, are you here?
Did it cut? You hear me?
I can hear you, but
Oh.
I can't see you. And if your camera off, that's okay, because we just really wanted to be able to hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay.
How are you?
Hey.
I'm doing good. I actually want to go back to the mama's boy thing. I
Okay.
think there's a misconception. I think when people assume a gentleman is a mama's boy, they want to constantly be under their mother and have her around, etc. all the time. I think that's where the misconception is. A mama's boy, from my perspective, because I'm not the only mama's boy, I know many of my friends who are mama's boys, are generally, they like the love and affection from their mom, but they still want their own space. And they take the positivities that their mom give them through their own actions and use that what they try to do with other women. Now, here's the problem. A lot of women that I have seen personally, especially in the schools that my lovely teacher went to, don't like that. They have actually shown a very negative response to men showing them genuine respect and positivity. And the responses that I normally have seen from these type of women, because they're normally the ones that end up with the man they don't want to actually be with, is
Hmm.
you're nice, I like you, but I want someone a little tougher. I
Wow.
want someone a little rougher than you and, put me in my place and stuff. And then when they get that, then you're the option because they got that and realize it's not what they want. They're following what society makes them believe a real man is. So when an actual gentleman comes along that wants to treat women correctly or treat them like, everybody's in the queen phase right now. That's not what they want at that time because they feel that that person that they're going to get with is not going to get the same respect as the man who acts like he's the king of the castle or whatever in public. So when they finally get into that relationship with the one that they thought they wanted to be with and realize that's not actually what they thought they were getting with,
Mm-hmm.
then they want to get to the one that they've already crushed their hopes of and talked about, etc. Those are the ones that they generally believe are mama's boys. The man that they actually want to be with, but are more concerned with how society will view the relationship versus the positivities that he can bring in the relationship. And those are what actual mama boys are, the ones that will respect the woman that they are going to be with. So that's
Come
why
on.
I say there's a huge misconception about the concept of mama's boy. What a lot of people, well, yeah, and I'm gonna say this too, because a lot of men do this too. As a man, if you show any signs of emotional impact or like understanding of emotional conceptually, both
Mhm.
from the perspective of men and women, you're weak. You're a punk. You're not gonna last out here. But that's only until that man becomes successful, gets money, gets the house. Before that, he's nobody because he chose not to be the thug. He chose not to follow the demographics expectations of himself, especially like me being a black man. Never once did I want to talk improperly. Never once did I want to run the streets. And not wanting to do those things made me less black or less appreciated by my own communities than the individual that decided to go and like slander somebody's name or get into random fights for no reason. So like when you all were talking about earlier about the single father or whatnot, that's the problem. A lot of these single fathers that are mentioned in those demographic reports or whatever, those aren't the single fathers that actually are shown in public to respect their children because what we're used to seeing in a single father is the one who's abusive, the one who doesn't take care of their kids, the one that doesn't, show the affection. And that unfortunately people don't want to admit is our own community's fault because we don't want to allow men to appreciate having their kids around, wanting to stay in a noble relationship, etc., because you're considered weak. You're not told, I'm proud of you for staying in a monogamous relationship. Good job for making sure your kids have food on the table. Good job for being their own parent teacher conference. No, what we're told is, so you only got one girl. Oh,
But okay, Devin, let me ask this question though, because so do you think that men should be given praise for doing what they should do
we
for
get
their
women,
children?
but we get women praised all the time for doing what they should do. We
That's
don't
because
tell.
sometimes women are the only ones do not more
No,
often than not.
no.
More often
See,
than
that's the
not.
thing. That's the thing. Even if that may be the case, we still praise women more for doing what they are expected to do as a mother. We do not praise men for being a father. We say, like you had said, you're expected to do this because you're a father. We don't say you're expected to do this because you're a mother.
We
We say,
don't say
good job.
but I
have.
think
No,
society.
not you specifically, but
Okay.
society. And if you ever read comments, I actually, my father was, this was the funny thing. Like I said, I've never been told I had to dislike my father, nothing. He posted a comment on his page once, and me and a woman got into a huge argument about it because she came in there saying, well, you are a man, and if you are a single father and you're not providing the way you're supposed to, and no, I know him better than she does, you should be getting another job. You should be sacrificing that additional time. And I was like, so what about the women who deliberately have additional kids to take care, to scam Social Security and walk around with the latest Balenciagas, but your child is eating a bologna sandwich? Her comment was not, well, shame on her. It was, you're funny.
Do you really believe that women look at children as a way to get child support?
Yes,
Because is it even enough sometimes the
yes,
child support that they receive?
yes, because yes, and I can say this for a fact because I know people who've done it. Social Security will look at a single mother with additional children as more needing than a single father with one child. They will pretty much just throw it at them. I know people who've been trapped by relationships because the woman chose to have a kid on purpose to trap the man in a relationship.
So wait a minute, Devin. Let me ask you this. We know where children come from, right?
Yes, but
So
but now if we're going down that route, when do you ever hear shame on the mom for doing it? Don't you always hear, well, not you all specifically,
okay.
but no, of course not. Now, no, when I speak, I'm speaking generally,
No,
not,
we understand that.
yeah, but you don't hear that, well, why did you sleep with him and have a kid? We always hear, well, he knew better. He should have
I think it's
put
the
out quicker. Nope.
I think it's
I,
the
when, if you ever really look it up, you'll see that the sympathetic levels for a woman having a kid and not wanting a kid are always higher than a man having a kid and not wanting the kid. And nobody understands that sometimes a woman will say certain things to a man, making him believe that she will be around, that she will remain with him so that he has a child with her. Because a lot of times, yes, we as men should know better too. Like you said, we do know where kids come from. But just as easily as it is for a woman to believe that the person she is with is going to be the person she is with, men get trapped into that too. And I know a few of them who wish they had never had a kid, not because they don't want the kid, but because the mom turned out to not be the person that they wanted. So now they have a
so
child in the world that they unfortunately may not be able to take care of the way they want to, or they have to deal with the mother who is not the person that they thought they were. But this is the side of the conversation men do not get to participate in because, again, men are not treated with the same concept when it comes to open conversation as women. We are expected to have a very specific answer. And if that is not the answer in which we give, we are not a man. So men don't speak because we have already been told that if we do not give certain answers to certain questions, you are less of a man than the person next to you. So, like when conversations come up about children, a man's response will never be as meaningful as a woman's response in the eyes of most society because the child actually belongs to the woman. Think about how think about how courts handle it. Think about how the legal systems handle it.
Well, that's what we were talking about. I don't know if you were on the live when we started saying about how welfare was created to break up the home, basically,
Oh,
by
more than
saying,
likely.
"Oh, huh."
More than likely. And I wouldn't be surprised at that. Like a lot of the systems in place, like most women are unaware that it favors them and it always has. even court cases, not even just about children, court cases involving, for example, very, very left field, but this is actually, I was watching um, um, a documentary about this. A woman who does the same crime as a man will generally receive less time for said crime because she's a woman. She has a higher chance of being considered innocent or not guilty if she's a beautiful woman. And if she's a beautiful woman who also has power, she's considered absolutely impossible to have done said crime. A lot of people don't understand. That's another reason why men can't even yell about rape cases or assault cases because they don't think women can do it to men. And the legal systems are why that happens because the legal systems tell us that that's how it is. So
So
it
the
can't be done.
people that you know, the people that you hang around, how do we bridge this gap? What do you say to your, because you don't have any children, right?
I do not, but I have raised a lot of brothers and sisters and cousins. So I'll say yes,
Great.
but just not biological.
Not biological.
Great.
Yes.
And before you answer that question too, Devlin, so Tammy said that women not necessarily want rougher or tougher, but someone who can balance me out by thinking with logic, providing structure and emotional intelligence.
I would
Tammy,
like
you absolutely can join the live. Can you send a request?
Ooh,
I don't
come
know how to
on.
add you in.
And answer my question first, though.
Answer hers first and
Okay,
then address Tammy's.
can you repeat the question, please?
So how do you bridge the gap? What do you say to the people that are in your village that you know that they're angry, the men that are angry, that are upset that these things are happening? What do we do?
Well, first off, you have to decrease the amount of emotional response
That's what Tammy said too.
That's what Tammy said, yeah.
because we
And we were talking about that
like
earlier.
I don't know if it's really a man versus woman thing because I have women who I'd be like, good God, this intellect level is way above my head. And then I have some where I'm like, you're crying over a leaf blowing in the wrong angle. So I kind of see
Sounding
both.
judgmental, sir.
You sound like you just, sometimes it's the hormones, Devlin. You gotta take that into consideration.
I do. So for me, I am a very blunt person. I tries to remain as non-biased about a way I handle my answers to people because a lot of people's responses are not about the person they're talking to. It's about them. The problem with a lot of things that how general people handle versus how I handle them is we tend to respond on how we personally would handle it, not the most optimal way to handle something. So for me, how I handle like a bad relationship, for example, it's not about if I like the person. It doesn't matter. It's about is this person genuinely treating you properly? And if they are not, I'm going to say something about it
Mhm.
because that's not how it's supposed to be. Same thing with friendships. If my friend is having an issue with another one of our friends, I'm not going to stop talking to that friend because you have a problem with them. I'm going to talk to both of you. I just will not talk to both of you at the same time. And this is not a general response, be it men or women. A lot of people feel that who they are comes absolutely before everybody else, and that's how they respond. They don't respond to the question being asked to them or the situation that's in motion at that time. They're responding as if that is them in that position. I'm not the one that's in an abusive relationship. I'm
Mhm.
not the one who's fighting with said friend. So how I personally feel about it doesn't matter. But if I do know both of you are in the wrong for some reason, both of you will
Mhm.
get told about it. If both of you have valid issues and points, both of you will know about it. That is how things should be responded to, but they're not. And you'll normally see this from people who have a lot of friends in one room. And that's
Mhm.
where we make our mistakes. Trying to have a conversation with multiple people in one room. Don't do
Okay.
that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Especially with men. Do not do that with men. If you're having
Yeah.
an issue with a man, pull him to the side and
Right.
don't talk to him like a baby. And I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people do. They talk down to
Oh,
us.
we got a lot to learn. Yeah.
And
Even at my age, Devlin, and I'm 50, and that was where you were
look
supposed to
at
come in
self
and
love.
say you don't look 50.
I haven't been
Right,
able to see
you
the
too
chat
slow,
for quite a
Devlin.
while. It's like I just see my face.
You gotta be
you,
quicker than that.
that was your part. But even at my age, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to, because I was married for such a long time. Dating is different now, and so we're coming with all these different things like
You gotta
the mama's
some
issues,
baggage
the
now
daddy.
and some experience.
Yeah, and so it's like, whoa, this is why me and Murray want to be on this platform so we can have these kind of talks, not only just to help us, but to help other people as well and stuff, so that we can have these relationships and we can do them right.
I think, see, when it comes to relationships, I think it's handled a little differently too. I think relationships are handled very poorly. There are a lot of red flags that are not deemed red flags, and that is why relationships do not last, especially in the new society. Because old society, you stayed married or in a relationship for 50 plus years. Like my grandparents, love you or hate you, they stayed together and worked it through. Working it through doesn't happen anymore, and
Devlin, you young, but you spitting some knowledge.
You the
You got
best mama's
you
boy
got
I ever seen. Hey, tell
so
your mama I said
tell your mom good job.
kudos.
Because you know what, it's true. And not to cut you off, but I was telling Queen a couple of times before I used to just be like, this is not working, I'm out. And then I started to realize, like, do you know how unhealthy that is? Because you said better or worse if you got married. But I'm not saying through beat up and
oh no,
the
that's a
extremes
get
of
out.
abuse.
That's a get
Right. But
out.
I'm saying through just the normal problems of relationships, because you
Yeah,
are two different people trying to come together and do this thing called life together. Problems
yeah.
will come, and the first thing can't be that you're ready to bail. But I had to learn that I wanted the better, but not the worse.
And that
So
has became
I had
the
to
new
work
Exactly.
on
normal.
that.
That has become the new normal.
It's not even
Where
just a new normal, it's the praised. If you read comments, and I'll admit this might be from younger generations that are doing this. You can't see pictures nowadays. Everybody got a fake photo. So a lot of them say, girl, get out of that. Like, boy, what are you still in this for? She clearly don't respect you. And then when you actually watch the videos, or sometimes you be like, she ain't did nothing. He didn't say anything. But we have become so unnecessarily emotional that every little thing sets us off, and society praises you for it. We're in this society right now where we're expected to talk and always have an opinion, regardless of you how accurate that opinion is. You're supposed to say something. You're not. You don't always have to say something, especially if you know what you're saying is coming out of an odd emotional state. And I had to learn this too. Like, I'm a very logical person, but I had to admit to myself that a lot of times I overshadowed my statements with an emotional rage at the time. Like, because I'm mad, my response will be less accurate to what I really want to say. Like, I don't think that phrase of you say everything you really mean when you're angry is true, because
it's not,
sometimes you
it's
don't.
not. We just
You don't.
Girl,
we just Devlin, we actually
this is the Holy
we
Spirit.
just talked about that today, and I was telling her that when I realized the power of my words, because I either in my younger, and when I say younger, I don't mean age, I mean my less wisdom having days, I could either, I've had a couple of men tell me before, like, some things that you said to me really, really hurt me. So then I mean, like, I could slice and
Oh yeah.
dice you with these words, but then on the other end, I have some women that tell me, wow, the things that you say to me really encourage me. So I realized, like, you know what, you got to take that emotion out of it sometimes, because you will say some things
Hmm.
when you are angry with the goal in mind to hurt somebody. And those
Exactly.
are really not things that in your clear, calm mind, you know better. So that is
And
very true what you said.
what we also, a lot of people need to learn to do, especially if you want to be in a stable relationship, is admit when you are wrong.
Oh my, I'm about to fall out on the floor, Devlin, because that one there
And
is the hardest thing I think for a lot of people to do.
It
Like,
is.
and not even in just a relationship, I think in a parent-child relationship
Oh,
too.
most
When you
definitely.
know that when you are not always
I
right, even if you are a parent.
I am learning, especially and during when this whole pandemic started and we had that shut down and stuff, and I had to have the conversations with my sons and stuff. I'm learning to be quick with forgiving and be quick with apologizing and really just, you know, toning it down some, and it's really been enlightening, and it makes me feel better to know that I'm making them feel better as men, because even though they're not my men, they're my sons. And if I'm speaking to them like that, you know what I'm saying? If I'm coming in all strong and tough all the time, it's not good. So, and especially with them being grown, oh my God, they're grown. I can't talk to you any kind of way,
And
and
I'm actually
it's a
glad that
learned
you said that.
behavior. It
I'm
has,
actually glad that you said that because that, as a parent, is something I really wish more would admit. Because a lot of parents, even if you go past the fact of single parent, um, single mother parent, single father parent, that affects a child in a way that they're not ready to accept. Once you realize that the person you are talking to is no longer just a child, they are also an adult, and you start talking to them more like an adult, they respect you a lot more. And I feel like a lot of parents refuse to do that. They love to use the phrases, I'm the parent, I'm the adult, what I say goes. But
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
that's you can't have that power the entire time
no,
because yes, you will always be the parent, but you will not always be the only adult in the room.
Amen.
no.
Go ahead.
That is true.
I
And
don't want to be that, especially to my sons. You know,
and
and
I will
I
admit,
will say, you men, y'all have it rough, y'all,
and I will
especially
I'm
now.
happy you say that because I feel like that affects men more than women when it comes to hearing I'm the adult, I'm the parent, because then it's kind of like, so at what point in my life do I actually get the respect that you claim we are supposed to get? If I can't even get it from the people that I grew up with, when do we receive this respect and this right to be adults that you claim we're supposed to get once we reach
Exactly.
18 and etc.? And I feel a lot of parents, if they admit it more, that you are right about that, instead of saying, or my favorite is dislocating themselves from the conversation and just leaving it alone or saying someone's disrespectful. M- So many more relationships with parents as a whole would be far better with their children.
Hmm.
And I've seen that because I've lived with my mom. I've been able to go to my dad's house whenever I wanted. I've lived pretty much with my grandmas and all that.
Hmm.
What I will say, I've never had this told to me from my grandparents that I did from my parents.
Hmm.
And that is stay in a child's place.
Stay in a child's place,
Oh,
or
Don't get into
or
grown folks' business.
or
What I was,
or this one, Devlin. Look, look. I'm the parent. You do as I say.
yep,
because I said so.
yep. I never got that from my grandparents. My grandma's never said that to me. My Parents, on the other hand, all the time. But my my, my grandparents never said because I'm the adult, you're the child, stay in a child's place. What they would say is, right now, this is not a conversation for you, or
Yeah.
I need you to go to the room. And they will say grown folks are talking, but they're actually
So let me
grown
ask
folks. I was
you a question. What was his name? Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
Joseph was talking about tradition. What is some of the things that your mom has, done with you in raising you that you would say is traditional that you would probably, share as a man when you become a father or
I,
whatever?
I think the fact that she was not traditional is why I feel I have become superior as the definition of man,
Okay.
because tradition changes with each generation.
Most
Tradition is
definitely.
not the same thing, but like you were all saying, breaking like family curse and stuff. Well, this is how my mom did it, and this is why I feel like a lot of aspects that I feel are more calculated to what men actually were in history versus what we're perceiving them to be
Mhm.
now. My mom showed me through example. She did not tell me what everything was right or wrong. She allowed me to see different men, just be casual. She would not always keep me from seeing the people she was with or hanging around. She was not always,
Devlin. Oh, let me not interrupt you. Go ahead. I'm gonna say it when you finish. Go ahead.
Don't
she
forget.
All right.
was, she did not tell me who I could or could not hang around as a man. She
Mhm.
allowed me to see all of them. She didn't ever say, that man over there is not a good man. That man right there is not a good man. She would ask me, when you see him doing stuff like that,
Mhm.
do you think that's right or wrong? And then allow me to answer, because, like I said, a lot of my problems that I felt were because I was trying too hard to be like the men around me. And those men are dead. Those men are running from the cops. Those men have kids they're not taking care
Don't
of.
be a Jody.
So
Keep your voice this way. Devlin, let me ask you this because Queen and I were having this conversation the other day. So your mom, when she was dating, she didn't keep that from you that she was dating, right?
nope,
Okay, so
nope.
we had this conversation because I also, in my dating seasons, I felt like if I'm dating, I know some people say, oh, I don't let anybody meet my child and you not gonna know my child. But I also felt like, why would I fall in love with you and build this whole relationship? And then after I'm already invested, now I want to bring you and hope that it works out between you and my child. So that's sometimes I know where people have a difference of opinion. Do you feel like it affected you in any way by seeing your mom date?
Yes.
Was
Bec-
it? Tell me about it.
It was positive and negative
Okay.
because I was able to compare how certain men treated her versus other men. It also allowed me to read red flags quicker at a younger age than someone who has never seen their parent in relationships. This goes for my dad too. I've seen him in relationships. I have seen red flags, etc. with, like, is he doing something he shouldn't do? Is she doing something she shouldn't do? How does that response makes that person react? Like, I've seen all of it. Like, no, my mom did not have me around every person she dated, and she said why. She said because I don't honestly think that this person I'm talking to right now will be around long. So I don't feel there's a need for me to tell you. Now, if she felt the person was going to be around for a moment, she would want me to be in that situation because, again, sometimes a kid is far quicker at seeing a problem than an adult is because they don't have a filter on. They don't have a blinder. So they might actually see something you're not catching on to. Like, if if any person put their hands on my mom, I'm going to respond to it. If I see aggression towards my mom, I'm going to let her know that they can't do that around you. That's not acceptable. And people can say that's not a kid's place. Don't do that. No, that's exactly when a kid should say something to you. that is exactly when a kid should respond because they are noticing you are not being treated properly. That is when you, as a parent and as an adult, should listen to your child because they are telling you, they are warning you, this person you are with is either treating me poorly or they are treating you poorly. I don't like it. And since kids don't normally respond with the idea if they say this to you, they are going to get something out of it, it's pure. And a lot of times, relationships with children fall apart because a parent won't listen to those. They won't respond to those until it's too late. And the kid won't want to tell you anything anymore because you didn't listen to them to begin
I
with.
think
So,
that's what kept me from having relationships. Um, well, bringing men around my children. I have 3 children, and so when I was dating, I did not date. I'll be honest, 3 years. It they it's been 3 years, and during the pandemic, I was dating somebody that was the first time they had ever seen me with another man, and it was kind of weird. It was kind of devastating for them. I think, in a sense, they were happy for me, but it was like, who is this? Like,
yeah,
and
because if you don't start off young to let them like understand that I'm your mom or I'm your dad, but this person, mommy or daddy currently likes. And
Even if
if
it's
it,
just as a friend,
exactly,
because kids have friends too. And I was having this
I didn't know how to do
conversation
that.
the other day. Like, kids go to school all the time, they have friends. So why do we pretend like you don't have to be like, oh, kissy huggy in front of the kid and
exactly.
everything? But why is it like, is it taboo to say this is my friend?
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
I also have friends just like little Johnny at school is your friend. Devlin Tammy asked, if you don't mind, she said, how old are you? If you want to share, that's
I'm
fine.
32.
He is 32, Tammy. You are Devlin. Somebody getting old, and it's not me. This was my student. How is he 32? Like, I'm still 32. I'm still 32. So how you 32? What you mean? I'm still 32.
Right. Oh, okay.
And
But I will say, I think that goes back generations. That was a learned behavior for me. You know, you don't want to look like you got a revolving door. You can't be bringing all kinds of men around your children and stuff. I didn't know how to navigate through that, so I just decided not to.
well, I don't think that's your fault personally. I feel that also comes down to this whole gossiping thing because it will, yes, unfortunately, everybody wants to be in everybody's business. And I think that's where that problem comes in. There's this, oh, well, your mom is sleeping with everybody, blah, 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 not knowing the real situation. And again, that's that whole double standard crap because if a dad does that, then he's like, oh, he can get all the girls, blah, blah, blah. So it's a double standard thing, as I said earlier.
Mhm.
And I think the problem also comes down to that no one wants to have that conversation. No one wants to explain to the kid why is this happening because
Right.
they don't think the kid will comprehend. And I'll tell you, I comprehended a lot of stuff very early, and that was because
More
I
than
was not,
yeah.
yeah, because I was not talked to like a child. It was explained to me like I was a growing person
And that's where we
who
mess
knew
up. And
things.
that's what Mari was saying. Now with her daughter, she really has these conversations. And
Good and bad, because even if there are some things that I'm honest enough to say, hey, I did not do the best in this area, I'm gonna tell her. I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't happen, because she is my only child, so she was here and she experienced some of it. So I need to say, yes, this is what I did, but you won't see me do this again because this was not good. It didn't work out well. It wasn't the best
Exactly.
decision.
And I
But
think
we
that's
can't
how it
pretend
should
like,
be done.
yeah, we cannot pretend like, let me hide everything from them. Let me shelter everything from. I'm not saying you got to show them everything
No,
either,
you ain't got to show them
but
everything. No.
yeah, but you don't have to keep them from everything. And now one day you expect them to understand relationships when they haven't seen. Because if you are a single parent and you've hid in every relationship, where did
Exactly.
they learn about
Like,
relationships
and
from?
that's what I'm glad my mom did not do. And like I keep telling her, like, that was not a mistake on your part. My mom does like to say, I was a poor mom or whatever. I cannot make her not feel that way because that is just what she feels. So no matter how much I praise, but I have to constantly remind her is like that statement is false. If not for you allowing me to decide my own things versus come to the what boys should like, what girls should like, whatever, coming down to letting me know that she's in a relationship, letting me know she's going to these people's houses, because let you not call me when you say you're going to call me, I'm about to find out where you at. And that's even when I was young, like allowing me to do those things. This is why I've said that a single mom can teach a young boy how to be a man, and that's simply just by being a mom and showing a few things. If I don't come home at a certain time, you find out where I'm at. That's normally what you teach a man, right? Let you not be home, I'll be coming for you, right? You don't have to be a man to teach that. Teach
Amen. Right.
if you like this woman, or if you find her attractive or whatever, there's nothing wrong with giving her a compliment. You do not have to be a man to teach a man that.
Right.
And even if your friends are acting up around you and you don't like it, you ain't got to stay there. You ain't got to be there. You don't have to be a man to teach a man that. So I think we have to get out of this idea that a man can only tell a man how to be a man and vice versa, because that's false. No, you cannot really educate me on how the man genitalia works in the way a man would explain it. No, you cannot explain some of those sexual things the way a man would explain it, but you can teach me general expectations or general ways to be an appropriate man in society. And that goes the same for a man teaching a daughter. You can teach a daughter that if you want to show skin, do it in an appropriate way. If you want to have male friends around, these are the things you do not let them do. And you don't have to be the same sex to teach these things. And if we get out of this habit of trying to tell mothers they can't raise their men to be men and tell their fathers they can't raise their daughters to be daughters, I guarantee you they would be far better off in society, because we often think you have to have a father in a home to handle certain things with a mother. Not really. You don't actually need both in a home at the same time to do these things. You just have to operate it differently. Like my mom, she worked on her own cars. She fixed the stuff around the house herself. And that wasn't because there wasn't a man in the house. It's just that stuff she wanted to learn on her own.
Where,
It
oh,
didn't
something
it it,
like that.
it didn't make her any less feminine.
Change my
It
brain.
didn't make her have to stop wearing makeup or making sure she had the next pair of heels. That didn't change anything like that.
It
No,
doesn't change it, but in all honesty, did you really want to do those things?
no, I didn't.
That's my
And
point, though.
not to mention, it's intimidating sometimes when you're dating
It is,
men.
but that is
But
that's an
like,
insecurity for a man. I'm sorry. That is on the man's part. That's the man's problem.
I know.
I'm sorry. If you were intimidated because this woman has decided she wants to show you how to fix something, that's your problem. Because in a heartbeat, I can show a woman how to go into her wardrobe and pick out the baddest outfit she ever worn. If you're intimidated by me telling you this, that's an insecurity you have to fix, because
We
you just
need
missed
more
out
of
on.
you. We need a
I
clone.
agree
I
with
need some
most of what he's
clones.
saying, but
Mhm.
I
Now,
still do believe that
if
it
you
is
don't want to do
important.
those things, like if you don't want, like you said, you don't want to do those things, that's different. Like if you genuinely do not want to do those things and that you would prefer a man to do it, that's completely different than you enjoying learning those things. If
Because
you
I
feel that you would
think we're
No,
making
that
it.
wasn't.
Yeah, most of the
I think
time,
I had
Devlin, honestly, that's not
the
the
case.
experience. Women, I may learn something just for my knowledge, but most of the time, women are doing these things because the man is not. It's not because she want to go fix the car or be responsible for all of these different things. Is that the man is not. And then to just circle back real quick, that's the part where you say, okay, for you, it might have worked out very well that you feel like your mother,
Oh
she was
no,
able to
you're
sufficiently
no.
show
What you
you
said is completely
both
is
sides.
correct.
But I
What you
have
said is
seen the
correct.
total opposite for a lot of men
Oh
where
no, you are
you
correct.
can tell, like,
What you said is
where is your
100%
father?
correct.
Or for women, the same thing. Where was your father?
And I
Because
think,
some of these daddy issues would not exist if the dad had, because the mom can do the best she can if she's raising a son. I believe that. But I believe, just like I have a daughter, there are some conversations or some things, just because I am a woman and I've experienced it, that I can tell her, this is how this is, as a woman. That her dad, he just will never have that experience. I just
like,
believe that. I'm not
I can
discrediting what
no
you said.
no I can agree. I can agree with what you said. But I think if those type of situations come up, that's just where we as humans have to become smarter. We don't try that hard to find an alternative for those situations because we automatically want to pass it to the next person. Like, if there were things that my mom could not explain, admit it. That doesn't normally happen. You won't hear the
Let me
admit
ask
it
you this
part.
though. Aside from explaining it though, do you think it would have been better or any different if you actually had the modeling of what she's attempting to explain to you? Like, if you saw a man doing what she was saying, whatever she explained, do you think that would have made any difference for you personally?
No, only because that's exactly what happened.
You're not the norm.
But okay, different.
but I
Yeah.
but I think that's why I'm able to do this a little better because the norm isn't actually normal. I think that's the problem. People think it's the norm. It's not the norm. It's just the most spoken about. It's not that
Right.
it's normal because like I said, I've seen my dad do everything. I will admit in a heartbeat that sometimes my dad says stuff and I'm like, woo, that is way over my head, and everything he says is right. I can't stand him for it, but I'll admit what he says is right. And I will sometimes say what he's doing makes absolutely no sense to me, and I can't agree with it. And I'm not going to deal with that. And that goes for my mom too. But again, it wasn't really uh, did my father have to be there for me to learn it? No, it's the same way I don't think my mom had to genuinely be there for me to learn it if she was there. Cause like my mom worked all the time, so even though it was a even though it was a mother's household, she was at work all the time. So in that in between time, where was I learning all this stuff? I learned it because I was interested.
And
We
that's another thing that another young lady made a comment yesterday. I think those unintentional lessons. So you said your mother had to work all the time, and that was the
Yes,
same thing for me. There were some things you learned it on your own, but sometimes I don't know that that's the best way. But yes, my mother had to work, and I respect that because she was the leader, the provider, and the caregiver. But it doesn't mean that we still didn't need them there to teach us, because sometimes when you're young, your young mind is not the same as your
oh,
Right.
oh,
mature,
oh, it
experienced
definitely is
mind.
not.
So you might be learning these things on your own, but who is teaching you? That's the
I think
thing.
it
Real quick to
it
circle back to so Tammy said, which is piggybacking off of what you were saying, she had to explain to her son that just because you see mom having a friend, it doesn't mean every friendship is romantic. I think
yeah.
we have to open up our mouths and explain it. Don't just pretend like the opposite sex does not exist in your life because you are single, and you're not with that kid's parent anymore. And now they don't ever see you having any interaction with the opposite sex. They don't exist in the world. It's just you and them. I don't think that's the best way either.
It's not because a lot of it then goes to, well, like you were saying earlier, how do the child learn how relationships work? And I tell you one thing, learning at school is not the best place.
Lord,
So, so
Lord,
if
it's not the
if
best
it is
at
not,
all.
so if you want them to really start learning, you have to be willing, at least once in a while, when you actually feel like you're in some type of emotional, like, relationship with somebody, be it friendship or not, to bring them around. Because, like you said, you don't want to spook the kid. And a lot of people would do that because then the child will start to believe, well, this person will be more important than me, or this person will have more time with mommy or daddy than me.
I think
And
those were some of the things I struggled with. So that's why I just left it alone. And, I didn't want to deal with that. So I just kept everything on the outside
I think,
until they got older.
okay, now this will,
So,
like I said,
so wait
I'm
a minute. I
non-biased.
want to
Hold on,
say
before we
this.
go over that, this is important. I want to say this real quick because I heard you say this a few times, and I think as a mom, you never gave yourself enough credit in that situation. And I
I
think
tell her
that
all
was
the time.
like, I think
Oh, you're going to cry.
that
Don't
was
cry.
where,
Please get emotional. If you
but
cry, I'm slapping you. I'm gonna cry too. Oh, I'm gonna cry too.
I,
And
I,
I'm cry. You
I
never
think
cry.
that that's where the disconnect was. You were so scared of the response from your child. You didn't give yourself a chance to see it. And it doesn't seem to affect anything now, which is good. And you're learning from the situation. And
Well, it doesn't affect them, but it affects
it's
me.
it's always
Because
going
listen,
to it's always going to affect you because it was you in the situation.
well, not
But
just that, because here I am now, I'm 50, and dating has evolved and changed so much. I wish I could take that time back and do it that way. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but with that still being the case, you still have time. Don't worry about trying to fix it. Just take what you've
You
learned
got some
and move
uncles.
on forward. So,
So
like you,
real quick though, Melvin, we finally got another man. Melvin said a woman absolutely cannot raise a boy to be a man. There are things as a man a woman will never experience nor know. That's
explain.
Melvin. Can you? But that part I agree with Devlin.
I agree,
But Melvin,
but I want to hear it from a different
Melvin,
man's point of view.
can you explain, Melvin, if you are still here? And hey, Melvin, it's good to hear from you. Melvin is a childhood friend. And Melvin is an excellent father, by the way. I give credit when credit is due. I don't care who it is, because I know, Devlin, you said sometimes women, we don't give credit when it's due. Yes, some of us we do. We
Oh
do.
no,
I do.
again, it's a
Right.
generalization. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't say all
Right.
women. See, if I use
Right.
the
Right.
word
Right.
all, that's
Well, we
different.
know we just putting out our
We just
disclaimer
putting it out there.
because we don't need
Oh,
nobody
if I
coming
if I
back
if I
trying to take
believe that,
snippets of our stuff
look,
Right.
talking about this.
if I didn't believe women didn't like give credit ever, I wouldn't have been the most excited person in the world when I found my teacher again. Like I was like, I gotta ask a question. Are you so and so? And she's like, yes. Like, at it. So that's definitely not the case with me. Definitely
Oh.
know some women give credit to men when it's due. 100%. Because this lady right here was one of my top favorites.
Devlin, don't be. I got a
Mine
soft spot.
too.
I got a soft
Can we
spot.
cry now?
No, we gonna talk in
Okay.
private. Thank you, Devlin. That means so much to
Thank
me.
you. Melvin, say anything
He
back?
did, but I hate the way this is showing.
You have
Like the
to teach your children about relationships that does and don't the rights and wrongs based on your experiences, knowledge and wisdom, and that goes for any aspect of life. I agree
Melvin.
and
We need.
disagree. I agree and disagree. Hold on. Let me see. I think they're still typing. Yeah, I agree and disagree. I think I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I wonder if they're referring to your personal experiences as the same sex in the relationship versus the relationship itself. Is that what you meant?
Melvin, can you explain a little bit more? Deanna, Deanna, what have you dated a man before since you here now, hey girlie, have you dated a man before that was raised by his mom only? And did you see any differences between the way that man handled life and relationships as opposed to a man who was raised in a home with another man? Do you think anything is different? That's what we were talking about tonight, because we were saying, men matter in the households. And from the data that Queen presented, it appears that there are more households that are ran by single Black women than not. And do we see problems with that?
Right.
I see problems with that. For people who don't, I'm interested in hearing why they don't. But if you see problems too, I want to talk about that. Well, we've already. Did Melvin say? Let me see.
He hasn't said anything else yet.
Okay.
I got the shut up now.
Devin, let me ask you this. Is there just anything that you feel like your mom missed out on teaching you?
That the dad could have taught better as a man. I'm gonna just throw that in.
No,
Nothing?
not. It's not really it's not really a miss. I won't say miss.
Mhm.
Because again, it's not like I was not allowed to be around my father or anything. But again, I wasn't taught in, I guess, like I said, the traditional way where you tell me this is exactly how this has to be, and that's the rule. So I won't say she necessarily missed anything because of that. Uh, oh, hold on, I gotta plug the phone up.
Okay. Deanna said, let her grab her laptop. Grab it, honey, because we want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I can't do that. Like I got the headphones in, so if I take the headphones in, I can't charge, stupid type C's. But I'm gonna say this real quick. Did she miss out on anything? I won't say she necessarily missed out on anything because she allowed me to see the perspective from both men and women's sides.
Okay.
I wasn't forced to only see it from one aspect. If we continue to do this thing where a man should only raise their son and that should be how he perceives the world, he's never going to get the full picture.
But Devin, that's actually not what we're saying. Or what I'm saying is exactly what Tammy said earlier, balance. It takes both parents. And I don't mean a toxic parent, that's different. But I mean two good parents working together to raise a child, because I mean, most children are going to grow up and get into relationships and maybe marriages. So if they've only seen one piece of how this parent operates, where are they getting the experience about the other half? Women, that was another thing that we talked about too.
I get it now.
For
I
women,
get it
because
now.
when you are raised like me and Queen, to a certain extent, you're raised in a household where it's just the mom that is leading the house and providing and protecting and doing everything. Where do you learn about relationships with men, or what the value of a man? Because mom did it all. So do I value a man the same?
I comprehend now.
Yeah.
All right, I get it now. How do I respond to that?
And you can think for a second
No,
if you need to.
I think I have it. In that regards, I still don't think I missed out because, like we were talking about the village thing. What I didn't necessarily learn from my mom at that moment, I still learned from the other men in my village.
See, that's what we said too, Devin. It matters if you don't have the other parent and they won't step up, or maybe they aren't a good example. Right. You go find somebody, bring somebody in to present this other side. Don't just say, well, this is how it is. I'm gonna do the best I can do. I think they need to see it.
I think that's why when I'm asked, did my mom miss anything, I can't hold her 100% responsible for that.
Right.
Because no child is 100% around just their parent.
Right.
So the real question should be, did I have other resources if my father had chosen to not be in my life at all? We we're speaking on the aspect as if there is no other relationships, there are no other people when we say single parents, but no single parent is legitimately single. They still have friends, they still have family relationship most of the time, and there still will be other male role models or women role models that the child can learn aspects from. This is still the reason why I say it doesn't have to be the father or mother. That doesn't take away from a single parent because the other parent is around, because there will still be other aspects or role models that the child will eventually learn to like. Like, for example, Miss Span or sorry, was a role model to me.
Oh,
And regardless of what people want to say, no, she is not my mother. No, she is not my father. But she taught me to be serious in what I'm doing. She taught me to respect what I'm doing. And if I have a passion for it, keep it up. Now, if I can't take that from her, regardless of what my mother or father taught me, I had male teachers too, where the way they handle things, those are things I aspired to learn about. This
Mhm.
is why I keep saying the aspect of being a single parent and believing it is absolutely necessary to have the additional in the house is not accurate, because a father figure does not have to be your father. A mother figure does not have to be your mother. You do not have to learn everything about a relationship from your parents. I learned a lot of my relationship goals from my grandparents. So we have to go past this. Hold on. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock.
is it
Uh,
not?
mhm. We have to go past this kind of ancient ideology
Mhm.
of a household. And this is coming from somebody who loves the 50s. So I can say this. We are so stuck on the roles we are expected to have as parents and the child that we do not pay attention to the actual picture that we are in. Hold on. Oh,
So real quick,
Deanna said
let,
something.
let me go back to Joseph real quick. So Joseph said, I was taught how to be a gentleman by the females of the family, but I was taught how to be a man from the men. And then Deanna says, so yes, I definitely have experience being in a relationship. I know the man is predominantly raised by his mother, sometimes even the grandmother. And I will honestly say that they are more emotional. And depending on how well the woman in his life knows how to control her emotions, sometimes a factor in how well they express themselves. If that makes sense. It makes
That's
that
true. That is
that's what I was
completely
it
true.
makes perfect
Yes.
sense.
Yes. And I'm happy she said that.
But
Like,
go
yes,
back to
sometimes,
what Joseph said too, Devil, because that's another man. He said, I was taught how to be a gentleman by the females of the family, but I was taught how to be a man from the men.
but I think that's the problem I'm still not getting. None of the men, other than myself, are saying what that is.
That's what I was gonna say. What is that?
Like,
Joseph,
nobody's saying what that is. And so I'm trying as a man, trying to figure out what does that mean.
That's
Be,
what I was gonna
Joseph
say.
and
What is
Melvin, if
that?
you're still here, can you guys elaborate? Because I agree with what you're saying. And I think Devlin is trying to understand because he was saying his mom did just fine on her own. I still believe in family. And I'm not saying that you don't, I'm saying I do. I believe that if we can have both parents, even if you are not in the same household, which it would be good if we could have more Black families or just families in general, but I'm a Black woman speaking about the issues of the Black community. So I think it would be good if we could have more Black families. That doesn't
okay.
necessarily mean that has to be the
So
biological parent.
Melvin actually said something, and I actually have a rebuttal to it. So I'm gonna read what he said first. Men and women live in two different worlds. What's traditionally expected from men as a man, father, and a husband, the same thing is not expected as a woman, as a man, as a woman, mother, wife. We both have different roles, responsibilities, obligations to family dynamics, and when done right and healthy, it makes a huge difference in the life
I
of a
believe
child.
it. I believe
Now,
it.
again, this goes back to, again, I'm a 50s man. There's a rebuttal to that. Men are expected from 90s children to provide for the family, bring home the check, make sure the car works, right? A 50s role was just to go to work. The woman handled the bills, did the painting around the house, cut the grass around the house. She
Oh,
did she did all of the managements of the
right.
finances. This is why I say y'all don't know what tradition is. Y'all do not study traditional roles enough to continuously use that word. Y'all do not
Well,
look
I think it's tradition in different
ex-
cultures too.
exactly
Because
like
what is in one culture traditional
because if
is
we go,
not
if
always
like
in
you said,
the other.
I like Asian culture a lot. If we really want to talk about traditions, a lot of our older parents in back in the day would be left in the forest because they couldn't have enough money to feed them. So again, the word tradition is used way too lightly. Traditions of a 90s child is not the traditions of a 50s child. Because if we wanted to be realistic, men in the 50s did not do much of anything
But
except,
was that good though? I
well,
don't know because even like I look at other cultures sometimes because I'm in Africa sometimes and I see maybe then what we consider to be 50s is just what maybe some cultures consider the jobs of a man, and one of those main jobs is you go to work and you bring home the
oh,
check. But
Diana,
let
Diana
me
said
finish this up
something.
real quick though.
Yeah,
But going to work and bring it's more to being a man and
Yes.
teaching a child than going to work and bringing home a check. And if we look at it biblically, protector, provider, leader, you have to do all of these things. The check is just one part. So no, and I
but
see
none of the other men are saying that. That's what I'm saying. We keep saying what a man is, but none of the other men in this chat are saying what that is.
okay, so men tap in, and then Deanna said women as single moms tend to overlove because we feel like we have to overcompensate because of the lack of a man figure in the home or at least around to help mold that young man. So Deanna, Devlin is saying he was raised by his mom. He doesn't feel like he missed anything without the dad being in the home. I'm saying I believe based on what I've seen and some experiences that kids do miss out because it to me it disrupts the balance. Some kids are able to make it no matter what. You throw them in anything and they're gonna come out surviving. But let's not put them in survival mode. If we have the opportunity to parent together, even if you're not gonna be in the home together, we should do that. Why wouldn't
Right.
we? We
That's
both created the child together.
I got 9% on my phone. I'm happy you said it. 'Cause I was about to ask that actually. I got 9% on the phone, so I'm probably gonna just disconnect in a minute. But I'm happy you said that. I hate to admit this, but a lot of the times men don't get that option. As I said earlier in the chat, once they're not no longer dating the mother, a lot of times the mom does not want the man to be in the home. So they don't really get the option to decide if they want to know their father or if they want to learn from their fathers because the mother has decided on an emotional level that this is just not the person she wants her child to ever understand. So we have to be honest
I
with ourselves. We
think
can't
it depends on what that parent is like. I know most women would not want if the parent is toxic. No, you don't want a toxic parent teaching your kid any
I
toxicity.
agree,
But if the
but
parent is just, let's say you guys just did not work out, but it doesn't discredit that they're a good parent, who would not want someone that helped you to create the child to help you raise the child? Because it's the reason that God gave two parents.
But
If
I
one can
honestly,
do it just
I
fine,
think
it
that
wouldn't need it to be two.
if you happen to do another podcast in relation to this topic, I think that would be what the next statistics should be. How many single parent households chose to not allow their children to be around the other parent? We keep
You think
looking
anybody
to,
gonna tell the truth about that?
Well, I'll raise my hand and tell the truth because there was some things that I kind of, you know, through the challenges of my relationship with my ex-husband, I did frown upon, like, do I really want him to, you know, be dropping nuggets into their life just because he's a man and he's their father? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So behind the scenes, even though he was in their life, behind the scenes, I was cringing because I was like, I don't know if I really. So if the opportunity presented itself for me to teach them something that we felt like a man should do, I did it because you're right. Being honest, I didn't really know if I wanted him to do it.
Devlin, Deanna said, "How do you know you're not missing anything if you never experienced it?"
Because I was never not said I never was told I couldn't be around my father. And see, that's the thing. It's not that I didn't experience it. It's just I didn't experience it directly in the home I was in.
Mhm.
I that's why I keep saying it's not that the parent has to be directly in the home. It's if the parent can be in the life, are they in the life? The parent does not have to be in the same household. We keep saying you need both parents in the same household for the child to
That
thrive. That's not
who said
that.
that though? I said it would
No,
be
that's
nice.
it
It
would be
would be nice to
it would
have
be
a solid
nice.
family union.
It would be
Unit.
nice, but it's not realistic anymore.
Why?
Be,
In other cultures, it very much is
but
realistic. Why
now see,
not in the black community?
but you said that it's the culture, and I hate to say it. God, I don't have enough
We,
time on my phone for this. 'Cause
we
that's a
gotta
whole.
we gotta rethink
Well,
because it can't get.
think about this. Think about this. I'm gonna say something about black culture in general. Black culture, when we really think about it, we talk about family, we talk about togetherness, Black Lives Matter and all that. But do you really see that? Do you
Well,
I think it
see it?
depends on where you're looking.
Where do you look?
Well,
Like,
I guess that's why I'm in two worlds now. Because when I'm in one, yes, when I'm in Africa and Nigeria, I very much see how important family is. Like it's a big culture surrounded, based, rooted in family. So, but when I'm here, and I'm not saying when I'm here, I don't see that. But I'm saying yes, maybe you have to look wherever it is. I have an aunt and uncle that have been married for over, I want to say 50 years now. You go find them and you look at that and see what that looks like. So we can keep our homes together because we can't be the only coach. And I'm not saying that we are, but statistics say differently. If these statistics are true, why can't we make relationships work? Do we need the tools? Do we need
nope.
the counseling? Do we
we
need the
do.
therapy?
We need to hold accountability. Our culture does not hold accountability for its actions. Think about how our culture riots. When we riot, we don't destroy the property of the person we're rioting against. We destroy our own property. We go into our own backyards. We go into our own neighborhoods and destroy their stuff. We don't take accountability for the way we handle things. And Deanna said something that was actually interesting, as well
But
as Melvin.
wait, I was about to say, backtrack to Melvin real quick because you said the other men weren't saying anything. He said, as a
Yeah,
father, I teach my sons to be leaders, visionaries, hardworking, intellectual, logical protectors, providers, ambition, problem solvers, conflict resolution, integrity, strength, character, values, and so much more. He
but
and
that's
But that's not a man. That's
that's not a
not what he.
man. That's a person.
so you don't think that a man can model that better to a
No,
man?
no, it's not a. Why would they be able to model it better? There's not a
Because they are
better.
men. They
No,
are men.
no. Just because we have the same parts between our legs doesn't mean you taught me it better.
what
You
I'm
can
saying, you don't think that would, so you
no,
think your mom can do that all by
I don't
herself?
think anybody can do it all by themselves, but
Okay.
just it trying to place it onto one person, and that's the reason we have this divide between men and women. There's not a
Oh,
can
we
you
said
do
we're
it better?
placing it on one person. I think we saying the opposite.
No, no, not you,
That
not you, not you,
I
not you.
No, no.
What I'm
I
saying
get what
is,
you're saying.
like, think about it. If there is a female leader in an office versus a male leader in an office, the female leader will not receive the same praise as the male leader. And it's not because she is not better at the job, it's because she is a woman. And this has been a thing in society for a very long time. They used to burn women at the stake because they were smart.
Yes.
Society wants women to be intellectually inferior to men because that is the way society, male society, has raised society. That is not a male trait. That is not a man teaching a man. That is a
It has
good
nothing to
intellectual
do with
person teaching a person. That is not telling a man how to be a man. Now, protecting, you may have protection may be different
it's
between,
very different.
yeah,
There is
so
no
it's
maybe. It's
like
very
that
different.
that is probably the only thing that I can say personally I believe is different. The way a man teaches a man to protect. But being smarter, statistically women are smarter than men. So boom, that's not gonna work in a court. Being more creative, statistically women are more creative than men. So boom, that's not gonna be held up in court. Protection
And that
may
does
be
not define you as a man. So
exactly.
you didn't answer your
So
question.
being a leader, there are female leaders everywhere. One of the strongest leaders in history was a Chinese empress, and her empire did not fall like so many of the men's empires. So, boom, leadership does not mean it is superior because you are a man. So, the only thing that men may have over women when it comes to teaching men are how do we work sexually? How do we work in the productive process? How do we work in the protection process? These are the things that men can really only teach men. All that other stuff just comes down to how good you are at doing it. So,
Ooh,
I
no.
don't know about that.
understood.
I don't know about that part though.
I agree with you.
I don't know that I agree because I think they teach it in a different way. You can teach it, but I think that it's presented in a different way.
But that's
And
what I
and Deanna
was saying
said,
earlier.
But what he is saying is that does not make you a man.
so none of those reasons are good reasons why men need to be teaching these things to men.
No,
We
Oh,
don't think,
no,
okay.
because a man can teach a woman how to be respectful to women, to men, and a woman can teach a man how to be respectful as well. Respect is a human quality. It is not a male or female. It does not
it
take
doesn't
a
have a
man to
gender.
tell, yeah, it does not take a man to tell him, don't cheat on that woman over there. Don't look up her skirt over there. Don't talk to her like that. That can be taught by anybody. That can be
So
taught by a video. That has
Deanna
nothing to do
says,
with it.
my son's father decided he did not want to be around because I didn't want to be with him. My son is 22, and I can definitely see the effects that the lack of him not being around has had and still has on him. And it breaks my heart because I know that's a void that I can't feel for him. So I think, I mean, people are saying I'm seeing my child lack because of the male responsibility and teaching and accountability that did not exist. So I think Devlin, you making some good points. But
Can I
I
ask? Can I ask Deanna something?
sure.
I'm not trying to get personal because I want to understand the situation better. Now, did your son ever say he felt something was missing because his father was not around, or was it he felt something was missing because his father could not teach him? Like, there's a huge difference, in my opinion. If he felt something's missing because he would have liked to maybe play basketball with his father or do those sports things that sons want to do with their dad versus just him not being in the house, that would make 100% sense to me.
I can answer that on my side because my sons felt like something was missing because he couldn't teach them those certain things. He wasn't available, but he wasn't that person. So he wasn't a mechanic kind of person. So they don't know how to do certain things on their cars. But like you said, and now my wheels are turning and I feel better about myself. Because it has no, they could have learned that from a video. They could learn it. They could have learned it from me. I know how to change brakes. So you're right. You're absolutely right. I think this is learned behavior again for us women, because society, the world has told us that this is how it has to be.
So the
Yeah.
Donna says, sometimes to me, he just seems lost, like he's still searching for something in life, but not really sure what it is. And I'm gonna go back to this point, because even us as women not having the other parent, it did affect us. So we can't pretend like that did not happen. Yes, we eventually grew up and you sought the therapy or the resources, or you found somebody else to fill in the void, but would it not have been better and easier if your parent had been the kind of person that did do what they were supposed to do as a parent?
So let's say this. Is it really more about the gender, or is it just about the parenting of being there?
That's it. There it is. You said it. It's just the parent.
I think it's both.
I think society makes it about the gender, but the reality of it is it's just about the parent being there. A child wants their parents. Adults make it about the gender. The child makes it very simple. I just want my dad around. I just want my mom around. I miss my dad. I miss my mom. They don't say, boy, I wish my dad could teach me how to play basketball because you don't teach me how to play basketball.
I do know, Devlin. There are some children that do.
It is, but it's not as common as them just saying, I wish my dad was here.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
adults make the problems that exist, not the kid. Adults make it the problem of gender. Adults make it the problem of race. Adults make it the problem of societal expectations, not the kid. The kid just want their parent there. And no, sometimes, unfortunately, that's not how it's going to be. Like, if a parent passes away, does that make the household any less valuable than if the parent was not there, just somewhere else? Society would say yes, because this parent died. You don't know how that person was. You know nothing about this person. You don't know the type of parent they actually were, but you know that they're dead. So you automatically feel more sympathy for them because they're no longer here to make the changes, to decide to change, to be the good or bad parent they are, because they're gone. But if the parent just so happens to not want to be in the household, then the tables are, well, you shouldn't have had a kid in the first place. You should have thought about that before bringing other mouth to feed.
You should.
Yeah, but if the person,
if be a parent, you absolutely should think about.
Yeah, but if the parent had died and still was a bad parent, society would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you."
But you got to compare apples to apples.
I am comparing apples to apples,
well,
but it's not seen like that. That's where the blinders are on. We only believe a parent is good or bad when they are alive. As soon as they die, regardless if they're good or bad, we feel sympathy.
That's not true.
It is, because, like, think about it. All of these.
We feel sympathy all the time. Some people have had absolutely horrible parents.
Yes, but you'll also hear, you're 100% right. They have had absolutely horrible parents, but then you would also hear from the opposing team saying, at least you had parents.
That's right. You're right.
But you can have parents and they can be horrible parents. So I don't know. Deanna says,
no.
Deanna says, I will say that even having a husband and seeing my daughter actually have her dad, I think he still feels like he's missing something, or at least a chance to get to know him on his own and for his own opinion about him. No matter how I felt, I never bashed him and have never shut the door for him to be in his life. Joseph, what part is not true?
I saw the not true. It disappeared.
It's here.
And I agree with Deanna. See, But Deanna, you as a person, you shouldn't continuously feel upset about that. That's not, you did everything that you were capable of doing. Like you said, you did not decide that this person could not be in your child's life. You cannot continuously hold yourself responsible for that. You left the door open. If they have decided to do that, that is no longer your fault. It was never your fault because you did not do like many households do and made it to where this child was not able to see their parent. The parent made that decision. And yes, it's going to hurt, but on a logical aspect, you did absolutely the correct thing. You allowed this parent to make that choice. It was unfortunately not a nice one, but you didn't let it be something that did not have an opportunity for it to be something positive.
I think his phone is dying. So Melvin said, also as an educator and professor with a background in nutrition and counseling. Okay, Melvin, you better put those credentials. I have done much research and studied many things, including marriage, traditions, family values, and family dynamics. Bottom line, men and women are not the same. There are certain strengths and weaknesses that both men and women have, and they are not interchangeable.
That's okay, but you're still not telling me what they are. And until I find out what those things are, it's just words. And that's not helping. You were, if with all of these degrees that you have, you should be able to tell me exactly the differences. I need to know the differences. Right now, everything that has been stated is something that either sexes can do. I have not been given an actual example where
Definitely.
only
I
a
think
man
what
can do
he's
it.
saying is not that either sex can't do it. I think it is a different dynamic.
But
What
is
I think
it?
that's what he's saying.
But
Hopefully Melvin will tap
yeah,
in
but
and
what is it? See, it's not that I disagree with him. I don't disagree with what he's saying, but I'm not being given any examples to understand exactly what those differences are. Because
so do you agree with him, or do you need an
I
example?
agree with what he is saying, but I would like more context on it. Yes, all the things he said a man can do. Yeah, like all the things he said a man can do, but they're not man specific. All the things, like I know that there are differences between men and women. Yeah, but what differences are there that only one side can teach the same sex? That's what I'm not being told here. I'm not being told here what can a man actually do or teach a man that a woman cannot. I'm not seeing any examples. I'm not seeing, for example, only a man can use a screwdriver. Dumb example, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not being shown any examples like this. I'm not being shown where only a man can do this and get this same response.
I think that they're saying only a man. I think maybe he's saying it's more effective with a man teaching these things
But
to a man than it is with the
but I'm
woman.
not being told what those things are.
I'm not him, so I'm just trying to
No, that is what he's saying. I'm not being told what those things are. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is he saying that only a man can teach a man how to respond to something emotionally? Can a man only teach another man the correct way to be in a fist fight? Like, what actually can a man only teach a man? Like, you can't just tell me only a man can teach a man how to eat a bowl of cereal or the correct way a man eats a bowl of cereal.
So Joseph says, Devlin, that what you said about the parent, I guess, passing away and us automatically giving sympathy, he said that's not true. I agree with him that it's not. I think some parents, if they've been absolutely horrible parents,
well,
I don't know that.
You know what? No, Joseph is correct. Joseph is correct. What I should have said, in many situations, when a parent passed, that is the outcome. He is correct. I should have not worded it that way. And I will take full responsibility for that. I should have not worded it that way because that is not always true. It is not an absolute. And I should have not said it in that way. So no, Joseph, you are 100% right. I should have not said it in the way I said it because that is incorrect. A lot of the times it's a sympathetic outcome when a parent passes. No, it is not always the case. And I do apologize for saying it in that manner because that is not true. You are right.
Wait, Devlin, your mic went out. Oh, or were you finished talking?
No, I'm done.
Okay. So I guess here, because our original question was, do we think, or first, I guess we tackled it in a couple of different ways.
Mhm.
First, do we think that it matters when there's an absent father as far as raising a son, being in that household? Because we were saying, or initially putting it out on the floor, that maybe a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. And for women, did you notice differences in men that you dated who were raised by single mothers as opposed to fathers? So I guess if we listen to what Devlin is saying, it don't. You saying what, Devlin?
I'm saying the real thing is not about if both parents are in the household. What we really need to be focusing on is there any other area where they may be able to learn these things if one of the parents is not available? We forget that as people and as parents, we are not the only people in our child's life.
Do we think it's important to keep families together? Is that not a goal?
I think keeping families together is only as important as.
Wait, let me rephrase that. Healthy families. Should we focus on maybe creating healthy family dynamics so that families can stay together and parents can parent their kids together if possible?
Yes, but that unfortunately will require us as. I'm only talking about Black community right now. I'm not going to talk about everybody else. Just the Black community. We as Black communities have to learn to actually function as a team when it's not just sports. And I can say this from growing up on a predominantly Black neighborhood, growing up in a predominantly Black schools all my entire life. And I will tell you this, there is absolutely no, there's about 25% synergy in any of this. And I will unfortunately I think it has something to do with a lot of the dynamics that we allow to be positive in our communities. Like, for example, as a 90s kid, I'm not blaming rap because, as again, I did not turn out like that. But what I'm saying is, most of the kids want to be the rapper. They want to be that person they see on television. And we do not tell our children that that's not the only path available to you. And when the kid goes outside and decides they don't want to be that person, they're ostracized because we don't tell the children that that is not the only path. And then the families don't generally show difference. You don't normally see, unless it's from the older folks, and I mean like the grandmas or the great-grandmas, great-grandpas, them ask for a cup of sugar or say, do you want me to cut your lawn? Once the grandma stopped being the grandma and it trickled down to the mom and the dad, at least maybe I'll say from the 70s to now, you stop seeing those things. So that's why I say Black community has forgotten the word community. We don't have that. We go down the street and we see the house all burned up with graffiti on it, with garbage on the corner. This is not every home, but I'm setting up for that. And nobody says, you know what? I'm not doing anything today, and I don't want this one house to affect how our neighborhood looks. I'll cut the grass myself. You don't hear none of that stuff. You don't see that stuff. We worry about our own households. We worry about just the people in our households. That's why I say community doesn't exist. If you go to a Caucasian community, and I can say that I have Caucasian friends, so I've actually been in their communities, you'll see the families come out and then go next door and then ask, can the kids come over to play? We're having a party. You don't get that in our communities. You don't get the knock on the door because some of our communities, yes. And I still say this is still a thing as the generations have passed. In the 90s, I saw this a lot. In the 2000s, I didn't see it at all. No. And then in 2010, you barely saw a kid outside, but you did see violence everywhere. And it didn't have to be that way. That was just because somebody said something and somebody said, if you don't go handle somebody else, you ain't.
You don't normally hear that in the other communities. If they got a problem, they'll sit there and talk about it. We don't want to talk about nothing because that requires us to admit our faults. And we don't want to do that. And like I said that I can say this from a person who tries to understand other cultures and stuff. And I will be honest, I don't like the way our community handles things. We want to talk about community. We want to talk about people embracing us. We want to talk about people accepting us. But we get mad at somebody wearing our hairstyles. We get upset that somebody decided they wanted to be Beyonce. And because the color of their skin is not our color, they can't do that because that's our community and all our stuff. But then you want to also say, well, why are there no black people in this movie? Why do you think there's no black people in this movie? Because
So Devin, you saying we focusing on the wrong thing sometimes?
oh, 100%. We are definitely focused on the wrong things. And like you had me in your classes. I got ostracized because I wanted to wear a choker, which I know why chokers were, what culturally chokers are, etc. But that little thing got me placed into a category that I didn't need to be in. And that's normal for our communities. If you do one thing that is not expected of you as your community, you are not allowed to be a part of it. And that's what we do. You can't, you want someone to be black, but you want them to be this much black. But that person over there, because they unfortunately did not get the opportunity to be born black, but they love our culture, they can't like what we like. What does that sound familiar to? Doesn't that sound like every history textbook we ever read about the little black girl not being able to go into the white man's store? But we don't see that. We don't see that we do that. We don't want to admit that we're portraying the negativities that we don't want in our community. I don't care how anybody tries to tell me. Every time you walk past a nail salon, you always hear "Ching ching over ching hong chong." There's Miss Ching Ching over there, and let someone throw out the N word one time, and everybody on the block want to fight. But you didn't think about that when you chose to discriminate against them because what they doing over there bothering you? Nothing. They doing your nails, and I bet you're gonna go to her again. But you're not saying what you're saying outside because it's funny. But no, we don't allow that. And that's what I'm saying. There's not a community. We want to gatekeep. We want to hold our supposed authority high and let no one else in to love us the way we want to be loved. Because we don't even love the own people that we have in our community for trying to educate us on other people. We don't want other people to really love us. What we want them to do is just absolutely praise us and then leave it at that. And that's the sad truth. And if I'm wrong, I'll be more than happy for somebody to show me. But let's think about it. For example, growing up in the schools, there was a Japanese singer that I liked by the name of Kodakumi. I read her biographies. I read her documents. She loves our culture. She loves Pink. She loves 50 Cent. She loves Christina Aguilera. She loves all that stuff. So she wanted to implement these things in her videos. She even had a video with Fergie and everything. But you know what other people said? None of that was important. What they saw was, I can't believe this Asian woman is trying to emulate other people's culture. She should be ashamed of herself. She don't know what none of this stuff means, but clearly she does. She's done her research on it. She's informing us that she loves these people and what they bring to the art form. But that doesn't matter. I follow a lot of K-poppers. Now, we're quick to go, yes, God, Queen, snap a fan, but don't want to accept the fact that folding fans are Japanese in culture. So we're taking their culture and emulating it and bringing it into our own. But you're mad at them for loving our hairstyles and wanting that. You're mad at them for wanting the black style of clothing. But here you are getting acrylic nails, getting your eyebrows hyper thin, snapping fans every 10 seconds with your friends and all of that. Sipping tea, which is also not American. But that's okay because that's what we do.
I love tea.
Yeah.
I don't care where it came from. But
But-
okay, Devlin, you have said so many things that I agree with and some that I don't. But the good thing that is actually what Queen and I hope to do to bring awareness, to start conversations, whether we agree or disagree. The fact that we can have conversations, because like you said, you know,
Deanna.
Mhm.
I was reading Deanna. She's talking about lemon
I
ginger
know,
tea.
right? Lemon ginger me, please. But the fact that you can't fix anything that you refuse to address.
Yeah.
And that's why we said, you know what, we have all of these conversations between ourselves, but if these things could help other people, even if what people are saying you don't agree with, but even if it could get you to thinking and at least having a conversation to hear each other out, you know, men and women coming together to talk, because we do need each other.
Yes.
No matter what we think or what we say, you can be the most independent man or the most independent
Yes.
woman. You need each other. You were created for each other. So if we can have these conversations, discuss the things that really matter in our communities, not just discuss them, because you cannot break a generational curse that you don't even want to address. So if we are ever going to see things be different, have better outcomes, have better situations, have better relationships, we need to talk, and we need to be able to listen, and then go and take what you heard, even the things you don't agree with. Just think about them. Think about it. See what makes sense. Take the things away that you can take away. Even if you're going to leave half of what you heard, the things that made sense, forget the messenger and listen to the message.
Amen.
So I don't want to make this too long, because we literally, we said we were talking 1 hour. And this, I think
Teach.
it's 3.
Teach, you know that's never going to happen if I'm in the room.
We're going to invite you to the room again. And men, we want you to come into the
safe
room.
place.
It is a safe place. I don't have to agree with you, but I'm going to respectfully disagree.
Honestly, I'm happy you don't agree with everything I'm saying. I'm happy about it, because there's nothing worse than a person that just absolutely agrees with everything. You don't leave no room to grow.
Really
So,
valid points, and I appreciate you. I really do. Your mom did an amazing job.
She did, and he has always
Amazing.
been
Yes.
a great student, one of my favorites. So I appreciate being able to see you as an adult man now, and just how you've grown in so many different ways. So I want to wrap this up by saying I appreciate everybody that contributed. Men, we want you to contribute more, because we are women. I don't care what we think we know. We need to hear from your mouth. So we appreciate it. We need you. Thank you for joining our Tea Time Talk today. And we do hope that even if we need to, clap it up for Mom. Mom did a good job. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everybody that participated. And we're gonna come back again with another topic, because we wanna talk.
Yeah.
We wanna talk. We wanna listen.
I heard balance.
Balance.
What was the other big word?
Oh my God, I forgot.
I know. He said accountability. Community.
Communication.
And
communication is really big. Yes.
That's for me. That's at the top of the list.
And
Yes.
gender has nothing to do with it.
It does.
We need
That's an adult thing. Like I'm guarantee if you start thinking about it just from the aspect of creating a good person, gender's gonna stop meaning anything. Like, I'm not talking about like what we currently believe that to mean. I'm talking about as an individual. I assure you, because let me tell you, I think that was the thing that I'm the happiest about, is that I was raised as a person that was allowed to decide things, and if it was not agreed with, it was explained to me. That I will never not be happy about, because I can enjoy X-Men as much as I enjoy Sailor Moon, and I can understand how beautiful a woman can be and how strong a man can be, and give both equal compliments. And I think that's the amazing part. And Teach, I
Boundaries.
want to know what you disagree with because I'm ready.
Boundaries was that other word.
Yes, boundaries.
We'll
Boundaries.
tell you later.
We'll tell you.
Well, I did.
And-
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. If I disagree,
I
enjoyed it.
I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I enjoyed.
I'm just
that.
playing.
And you've helped me. You've helped me as a parent. I feel good about myself. I'm gonna go home like.
That's all that matters. Yes.
Well, thank you, Devlin,
Thank
for
you,
hopping
Devlin.
on. I'm going to invite you again because you dropped some good nuggets. And for my men that watched and you commented, I appreciate it. But I would love to hear your voice next time. For my ladies that participated, I'm going to figure out how to get more people into this conversation next time. But again, thank you all for participating. Thank you for joining the conversation. I feel like we can fix so many things if we just start to talk. I hope we took up about 2 hours of your time, so I appreciate your time. I don't take that for granted, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday and your weekend.
You do too. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.